stuff. He's already here. It's pretty cool.
No, it's definitely hard.
Yeah.
Listen to these
I learned to
words.
stay strong. Concrete in the dirt I was raised on. Know how to put in work. Grinding all day, you know it's game on. My skin is thick, yeah, it's tough. Running, yeah, we stay alive. Ain't gotta look nowhere else. All of this greatness inside.
Oh, my goodness. I am pumped. I am pumped.
Told you.
There we go.
It's me. I don't care, Dave.
Yep.
Dave, I don't care.
I got you.
Episode 28, all about the grind. I am sitting with Mr. Zach Elkins. I'm going to say entrepreneur at first. Hold, please. There's some depth here. And I thank you so much for being here with us.
Sure, man.
You run a busy schedule, a lot of businesses, time management. Mama's behind us already on the computer doing the next.
That's right.
So it's TikTok. You were probably the first one I said. I mean, we're always on time, but this one I wanted to make sure I was dead on time. So I knew y'all would come in like a machine at times for me.
Yeah.
So we know each other in passing and our daughters in the dance teams, but the depth of you I don't. So I'm interested in getting in a little bit.
It's going to be a good one then.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So I love the early years because they're impressionable, right? So, and not looking for the Jerry Springer type of stuff. Mom and dad involved together, separate. How do you grow up?
So divorced very young.
Pull that. You wanted about, yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. And it's a directional, so you almost want like that little circle pointing right at you. Boom. You're
Boom.
good.
Yeah, so
Sorry.
mother and father divorced very young.
Yep.
Raised with my mom, single mom, teacher, low income housing.
Perfect.
Grew up in a
Yeah.
trailer.
Yep.
You know, in Sin City, if you're familiar with
Oh.
Jacksonville and
Oh, yeah.
Arlington. So,
Oh, yeah.
Sin City back in the 80s, rough.
Yeah.
Rough upbringing. I mean, get
So,
beat
so
up.
you're on the street.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what you did.
Yeah.
You know,
Were you the bigger guy, smaller
no,
guy?
small guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, super small guy.
Yeah. I was
scrawny.
Yeah.
I was my older brother's, little brother.
Yeah.
That's how they knew me. We would go up to Bruce Park every Friday night.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait a second.
Heard
Come
that
on.
name
Bro,
a couple times
that's
from
my
you.
park.
Oh yeah, no.
I ran with not run like hung out with them, but
Yeah.
I was always up with all the NBA dudes.
Exactly.
I was playing ball
Bro,
with them. We played
no,
basketball
no,
together.
We were there Friday night, bro.
We
the
ran
only
all
white
night.
kid running point guard was my brother. He was the only one, and we would show
This
up.
is weird.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is when they had no lights.
I know.
And they had all the cars that would park around,
Yes,
and then
and we'd
that was
turn the
turn on
lights
the
on.
lights, and that's how we played basketball because there was no lights up there.
My brother was the white boy driving off, go pa 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 in the air.
Yeah, sure.
He was. Yeah. Yeah. He's doing real good right now.
100%.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that's what we did every Friday night. He played point guard. The only reason I ever got to play
Oh,
was
I
because I
know.
was a little brother.
So you were down there playing 21, getting
Yeah.
banged up and bled up,
and I
trying
was
to work your
trying
way
to
on
get
the
into-
court.
Trying to get into 5-on-5.
That's what I'm talking
Is that-
about.
That where you used to play with D Brown and them?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
That's where
I did not. Yeah. And Otis. Okay, now they're coming. Thank you. D Brown, Otis Smith, Eddie Murray.
Yep.
Well, back when the JU was going to the NCAA,
Yeah.
they would come up to Bruce Park, which made it hot.
Yeah, that was the best competition anywhere.
My
Friday
wife,
nights, yeah.
Dawn Marie, I would take her up there and she would sit
Yeah.
and watch me work my way onto the court. And if you lost, how many hours? It could be hours.
Hours.
You
So
may
basically,
never-
that's
you may-
like the
or you
what
may-
was that place up in New York, Rutgers or whatever
that
it
was,
was.
Park.
bro. Let me tell you,
That's
Yeah.
the Jacksonville
don't be
Rutgers.
caught. Now there were those Fowler, but
Yeah.
us white boys
For sure.
Oh, you were getting
if he was
hammered.
there was 4 or 5 of us at best, and most of us were down there. When you got on the court, and my brother was the stud athlete. He was a trash talking, deep thrower.
Exactly. Yep.
I had to get good at knowing where the ball was coming off the rim and elbowing.
Rebounded pass.
Baby,
That's
let me
all
tell
I
you,
did.
sir. And then I learned to use
Yeah.
I learned to use the backboard.
Yep.
And so I was always an angle shooter, and I got decent at
Yeah.
it. You know, so I moved up a little bit, but my brother was the stud. I mean, he was
That's so crazy. Like, so man, there was probably times that we were
we
on
were
the same,
absolutely.
on the
You
same
probably
court.
elbowed me
Yeah,
and
that's
everything.
so
Yeah,
Yeah, my brother was the point guard, left-handed.
I was
shooter.
tall and scrawny.
I was probably nothing.
Yeah.
I
But
was
I'm gonna
probably
tell you,
nothing.
I had a knack for where the ball was going to be.
Yeah.
I loved Larry Bird.
Yeah.
So in my
There
Larry
you
Bird,
go.
yeah. So my family is a family of basketball players, and not all of them are tall. And so the fadeaway, that dip in, fade out, I had it perfected it. And so I could get on the baseline, and so it caught a little tension. And yeah, I hung around a little bit. Well, on Sunday, because we'd go up on Sunday and we would not, we'd run all day, all day.
Yeah.
The energy I had, I mean, I would go home and eat that's when I was eating 4 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, big old thing of milk, and Angel used to, my sister used to make it for me, and like 2 packs of peanut butter and jelly crackers every day. And I was like, I was like your nephew. I couldn't gain weight. I was burning. Tell me, you're the smart guy, which we'll get into here in a second, because you also are in the nutrition field.
Yeah.
In a variety of ways.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, I think we got to go back. So because I'll jump into it real fast. So mom and dad split up, divorced. You're in the rough area.
Yeah.
You go to school in Arlington.
Yeah. So we grow up in Arlington, go to school there.
And what years were that? Like that was 88.
That was in the 80s.
Yeah, 88.
So I grew up,
89.
in the school in Sin City is called Woodland Acres.
Yeah.
One of the lowest poverty, F school, all the way around. Then we end up moving out of Sin City into Pottsburg, which got us closer to Bruce Park, and that's when we would ride our bike or skateboards.
I lived on Pottsburg.
Okay, well, you lived in the
Riviera Manor Drive.
Right, so I lived on Pottsburg Drive.
Oh, gotcha.
Which was out off of Arlington Expressway.
Gotcha. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, we moved
say
there.
Say less.
Yeah.
When Limp Bizkit talk about on the other side of Matthews Bridge, that's literally me. First exit, boom.
Oh, absolutely.
Right off Matthews Bridge.
Money on the left, gangsters on the right.
That's right. So even when we were back in the Sin City days, that was right across the street from Caravan.
Absolutely.
So there's one side that you didn't go over to, and they were over there, and we were over here, and we didn't go across.
Okay, stop for a second. He will verify some of these stories because some of my stories are out there. Do you remember the girly bar right there on the Arlington Expressway?
Yeah.
Do you remember when it became a girly car wash?
Yes.
Okay, so
it was called Dolly's. It was called
yeah.
Oh gosh, but anyway, so they had the car wash and it was tarped over.
Yes.
And you would pay your money and you would go through the car wash and they didn't have clothes on.
I never did that.
Yeah, so I only went because my dad went with us and I sat in the back seat.
It's an experience.
It's an experience.
You gotta.
They tape it all off.
Yeah.
And you go through it and they wash the car in their bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I joined a swingers club coming back up from Miami just to get the experience of going in. And I went all the way down to towel off. It was freaking hilarious. And I'm not this.
Yeah.
Hey,
That's so crazy.
hello. I'm like, oh yeah, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, it was sort of a guy like you standing at the door, and I was toweled up, and I'm walking, and the guy goes, "Sir, this is no." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "No, this is." I was like, "When in Rome, yeah, whatever."
Right.
Yeah, that's not my scene, but it was what an experience for me.
Yeah.
So, but you know why? Bruce Park was that controlled chaos.
Yeah.
Where I didn't have to go out. Were you fighting by then? And by what I mean by fighting was MMA, and because we'll get into this. We're talking to
Yeah. No, I was fighting for my life back then. So you couldn't
understood.
This was back in the days when Starter first came out, and all the kids were getting jumped, and they were
and all the low riders pulled up from Henry Mann's boys.
So I had to walk from Woodland Acres to my house. So you had to haul ass. Because if you had any new shoes on, which we never had, we had my mom would buy me sweatpants and we would cut those into shorts.
My brother was a runner.
So my brother ended up running.
He was faster than me,
exactly.
So I got caught.
Yeah. So fast forward real quick, same thing with my brother. He was across country at Bishop Kenny, became varsity. I ended up running the 8th grade marathon, end up winning it because my soccer coach made me do it. I didn't want to do the shit. So she made me do it. I ended up winning it. They tried to give me a scholarship to Bishop Kenny to run cross country. And I was like, dude, I'm not running.
I got a scholarship to Episcopal. I did not fit in, man. It was
She went to Episcopal for a little while, then she went to Kenny.
So wait, hang on. Just to make sure, what year did you, because there's no way she was walking through around Episcopal when I was there.
96, graduate.
Okay, so y'all are younger than me.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. It was good for me. It did give me some connections, and some good people that I've been able to get to know a little bit. And my best friend of all my life, John Everson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I met him in high school, but he came from Sandalwood. I came from another school.
Yeah, we
both went there to play sports, basically.
Yep.
So but it did get me ready for college. I wasn't ready. I'd have never made it from the school I was coming from. For me, I know guys that left the other school that I'm always joking with, that were academically top, but they were him and her. They were precise. So you're getting in. You're in Arlington. How old are you when you're like really start hanging out on the? I mean, are you on the street? You know, like with your buddies and on Friday night, Saturday night, and then it turns into weeknights and
So I mean, we did everything that you've heard the stories of. I mean, we stole cars, we broke into houses, we got shot at by guns running off Lone Star Road trying to steal cars and stuff like that. And you just hear pop. And there was just a time that, it's like, I'm going to die in these streets one day. Like
how old for you? What year did you give you?
So I was probably,
I mean, like, did you knew, we all sort of thought, okay.
I didn't think, when I was that age, I didn't think I would make it to be 20.
Okay. I gave myself a little bit longer time.
Yeah. Just because in addition to that, so, I was running the streets. There was drugs.
I was about to say alcohol, drugs involved.
We were riding the bikes up to the gas station. We had no food.
Yep.
We didn't have any food in the house. So, I would ride up to the gas station on the bikes and whatever you could fit in your pockets and the person didn't see, you haul ass and you go eat all the snacks and the drinks. And
you know what it is today? A lot of these gentlemen that are on the east side, there's nothing that's done without perks in them.
Yeah.
It's not a manhood. I got you. I watched them get so before they do, So really what I found out was I was just a scared little kid.
Yeah.
That's
and
really
just trying to fit in.
I was just trying to find, and I never did. I never found my place.
Yeah. Well, so when I was 10, so that was we ended up moving out of Sin City at 10.
So you're running that early.
Yeah. So
Okay,
I was 8, 9, and then, even after that. So then when I was 10 years old, this was in Arlington. My best friend still lived in Sin City at the time.
Right. We're going to keep the connections because we enjoyed
That's where
that.
we came from.
Right. Yeah.
But now it's a different story. I don't go near Sin City.
No, understood. Yes.
But yeah, so at 10 years old, I was at my best friend's house. This was the day after school had just got out on a Saturday. I'm at his house. It's hot. It's summertime, and he's like, "Hey, I want to play this game. Let's go outside." And before that, we were jumping on the trampoline. We were having a water balloon fight, so our clothes were like all soaking wet. And he's like, "Hey, I got a game I want to play with you. Let's go outside." So I'm like, "Cool." We go in the backyard, go to this little telephone pole. He's got in the backyard. Kind of looks like that light post you got right there. It ties me to the hands behind my back. Boom, ties me to this.
How old are you?
I'm 10 years old. So he ties me to this light pole in his backyard, leaves. And I'm just sitting there and I'm messing around. I get one of them off. So it turns out this arm was still tied behind my back. This one was free. Comes back. I see him walking back with a can of gasoline. He starts pouring this big gasoline ring around me. And he's like, "I want to play this game. It's called Cowboys and Indians." And I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on. He was 16. This was my best friend at the time. I was 10. I was like, dude, I don't know what kind of game this is, but I was just whatever. And then he kind of looks at me. He lights the match. And then just drops it, and then boom, like that. This is summertime in Florida, pine straw everywhere. So I'm tied to the pole. I can't run, can't do anything. So I end up, this arm is still tied behind me. I end up falling, and as I fall, this is my brace, and there's all the scars where the fire went straight up my arms, straight up my face.
I have never noticed.
Yeah, well, if I had shorts on, you would notice that the legs are what's got it the worst. 3rd-degree burns. They end up having to take skin.
What year? What era? How old were you?
10 years old.
God, dog.
10 years old.
Whew.
So
mom and dad. I mean, mom.
So my mom and his mom were best friends.
Well, they're gonna kill me. Okay, so you're down on the ground.
I wasn't down on the ground. I was still standing.
I mean, you get
I end
out.
up falling. He comes back. He throws water on it.
Oh, because he's had fun now. It's over.
Yeah, this is not fun
Or
anymore.
it's got serious.
Like, holy shit, this is real.
He was just wanting a little ring of fire. Okay.
So I don't think it was ever,
It was malicious, but it was not intentional to burn your body to that degree.
So he's freaking out. He's like, what am I gonna do? Blah blah blah. He runs. So his grandma, they shared a house in a gate so he gets this medical book.
Because 3rd-degree burns, your skin is gone.
Melted.
And anything you touch is I have a buddy that's firefighters, and
gone.
They call you Crispies.
Yeah. So that's exactly what it was. So
that's what
it's all black.
Oh,
So
that's what he said.
I have dead skin everywhere. I'm scared shitless. My mom's gonna find out about this. His mom's gonna.
Isn't
find
that
out
crazy how our brain goes?
So I immediately go upstairs. I jump in the bath. And I start trying to wash it off.
Oh, because you don't know no better.
I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Now you are putting pain.
Blisters. blisters, right? You've had sunburns.
Oh,
Yeah, so these huge blisters all over my legs, right? And I
you
gotta
still
hide
haven't
the
told
shit.
mom. Yeah,
No.
I know.
So
I
I
shot
rip
a
'em
guy in
off.
the hand, and he hit it
So I
from
start
mom.
ripping them off
Yeah.
because I don't want to see them. I just see these huge water blisters. I start ripping them off
Oh,
because it's also charred black skin, and I'm trying to hide the evidence, not knowing what I'm doing. Right?
understood.
So
Destroying your skin
so
and
then
scarring.
he takes me into his bedroom. He puts me under some, and that's when I start going into shock and everything because I burned all the nerves. I didn't feel anything.
Oh yeah.
And with the adrenaline and the shock,
And your body goes, okay, we need to shut down.
yeah. So that's when I started
The adrenaline
I
dump.
laid down. There was adrenaline dump, and that's when I started going into shock and shit. And then you hear the door open up. What you boys doing? Shit.
Oh.
Immediately throw my clothes on, go downstairs, and they're like, "Holy shit, what happened to you?" And I was like,
They don't even see all that.
"Yeah, well, they saw the legs and all the stuff."
Oh, so okay,
So I
I
was
got
like,
you.
we were riding skateboards down Kona.
Oh.
Kona.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I was like, we were riding skateboards. I ended up falling. It's road rash, and they're like, "Nah, bullshit."
Yeah, they know.
We're going to the hospital, so they take me down to Baptist. We're on the way there, and that's when everything just going into shock, start losing shit. So they get me into the hospital, and I just got all these doctors grabbing me, throwing me into the bed, shooting me up with all this shit, which I didn't know at the time. I was not addicted. I was allergic to Demerol. So Demerol was big back in the 80s as a painkiller. So they give me this. I start having hallucinations.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm looking around and I see my aunt, my grandma, my cousin, and they're all the ones holding me down.
So you're fighting.
I'm fighting them.
I'm with you.
I just start wailing on all these doctors, and I get up butt naked, haul ass down the thing. They catch me, hit me up with a bunch of morphine. So I wake up a couple days later. I'm surrounded.
Are you chained up to the bed? And
No, I'm not
everything?
chained up.
Okay.
That
was good.
They were able to get
Sedate
me
you
under control,
and everything,
sedate me.
yeah.
I was, passed out from morphine,
Yeah.
bandaged up, everything. I look like a mummy.
Oh.
And then, my whole family's around me, hand to hand. I got my Monsignor from the church right there, Christ the King on Arlington Road. And then, I'm waking up thinking this is it. They're here to give me the final rites. And I wake up and they're like, do you know what happened? And I'm like, no, I don't know what happened. And they're like, well, you and Chip were in the backyard and y'all were playing with sparklers. And you were running. You had it in a plastic truck. And it dumped over, caught the grass on fire. You were running back to put the fire out. You ended up tripping and falling into the fire.
So they gave you a story.
And that was his story.
Yeah.
So I was just, at the time, I knew.
Yeah.
But
you're also all
I'm all hopped up on morphine.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I'm 10 years old. I'm trying to protect my friend.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So
that code, too.
I said nothing.
Yeah.
I just, and I don't, even to this day, I don't really know why I never really said anything, because it took 6 years for me to ever tell the truth. And for 6 years, every single person I ever met was, first of all, fireworks were outlawed in my neighborhood.
Wow.
No kid was allowed to play sparklers, fireworks, 4th of July, nobody. Because you remember what happened to the Elkins boy. He was playing with sparklers and fireworks, damn, caught his whole self on fire.
Wow.
And
the ghost story, and that grows.
yeah, so it grew and it grew. And,
You were,
and the doctor at the time was just like, I can get him to walk again because my legs were burned so severe they required 3rd-degree burns. So they took skin from other parts of my body.
all that grafting.
Yeah, so I have skin grafts all over my legs, and he said, you'll be able to. I'll get him to walk again, but days of playing sports are over. I was a 10-year-old kid. I was burned over 30% of my body.
Right.
So yeah, it actually took 6 years. On my 16th birthday, they.
You just skipped 6 years, and this is what I love about you. You just skipped 6 years of scraping and grinding, and I don't know what people. I don't know if some people understand of sitting there. Will you explain? You don't have to go to graphic, but that's the grind. I mean, were you to get through that? Were you looking forward? I mean, how does a young man? Because
I don't know, man.
Minute to minute,
I just have the ability, and maybe it started at a young age. Maybe I just have the ability to just handle adversity like nothing you've ever met.
Yeah. But it's not just pull yourself up by the bootstraps.
Yeah, no. It's you had to.
There's an
dig in
intentional.
so they actually had to put, because my skin was so thin. I haven't grown yet. There's no flexibility. There's no extra skin.
Yeah.
So the doctor actually had to cut a line right here, put in a tissue expander because the burns used to go all the way up to my face through here. So they would have to put a tissue expander in, and every week I would go get saline injections to make it bigger and bigger and bigger till I had this huge fucking bubble coming out the side of my face. And then when they got it big enough, they cut out the bubble. They had all this extra skin. They cut out the burns, and they pulled the skin up over it. I did that twice. I've had over 50 surgeries.
By what age?
Oh, between 10. I think my last plastic surgery was when I was 18. So
so 8 years.
Yeah, 8 years of
Basically
plastic
8
surgery.
years.
In and out of hospitals for 8 years.
Your tenacity was built was forged through, a young age.
Well, that and just the amount of ridicule that I got because I had to wear Job's garments. And Job's garments are like this. It looks like pantyhose, but they're really tight garments.
Yeah, I know they are.
And they do it so your scars don't keloid.
Yep.
And they puff up, which mine were really puffing up on my face and everything. So I had to wear just like these pants and the arms and the headpiece.
Yep.
And I had to go to school.
Yep.
And the amount of ridicule that I got because I was pantyhose boy.
Yeah.
And I was always picked on, always made fun of. So I begged my mom. I was like, dude, I'll wear the Job's garments on the arms and legs, but I'm not wearing on my face.
Yep.
So she agreed that I would only do that when I got home and at night, but I couldn't play sports.
Yeah. So all through high school or anything?
So I ended up going back and playing. So I was big into baseball.
Right.
My mom was a big baseball fan. That's the only sport she ever let us play is baseball.
Right.
That was it. You could only play baseball.
Right.
So I played baseball.
Were you working out by then?
No.
Okay. All right.
No
so we're
workout.
just okay.
I was
You're
just a
surviving.
scrawny little kid. I'm just
okay.
trying to live and just figure out still trying to figure out who I am and enjoy a child life.
Did you have somebody to talk to at that time?
No.
So you had no adult of any mentor of any kind, church,
Never.
house.
No.
Right. So
I was in church, but I wouldn't say that was a mentorship. My dad was not really there. He wasn't in the picture, so I didn't have a father figure. My father figures over life when I got into high school became my coaches.
Yeah.
When I started getting coaches,
that.
and those became my father figures because I just didn't have one. I didn't have a dad who taught me how to ride a bike.
So how did you escape mentally? Because did you often go in your room and go away and have your own little world?
Yeah.
And what was that? For me, I'll tell you what mine was. And to give you that 10, 11, 12, all that. I was a bedwetter until I was 13 because I was mentally I was trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
I had people, maybe. Well, that's not my story. This is for you. We'll get to that some other time. But I would walk in and I would take my blanket and I would drop it. And I would have cars, and I had all these men, and they would be on hills, and I would literally, I would pick the truck I wanted to drive one day, and one day I will do this, and one day, and I'm gonna tell you, be careful what you one day.
Yeah.
Because I have lived the good ones, and guess what else I manifested, Dave? I've manifested I want to be that guy that everybody I was. Yeah. It's so much fun until it ain't.
Yeah, I don't know that I got into manifestation that.
I don't even know if I was doing it, but it's really programming.
Yeah,
it's focused repetition, and you build that deeper channel in your head, which builds a habit.
Yeah. I think for me, it was...
That's manifestation to me.
I knew at a young age, I didn't want to live the way that I was living.
Yeah. Did you look at others and go, when I get older, I'm going to...
Yeah.
Did you take pieces from other people and go, I'm going to be a man like this? I like the way he did.
I want to have a house like this. I want to live...
But even the character traits in it, because I was trying to piece together, and some did come from my dad.
That's you trying to find out who you are. And that's completely normal.
Oh, I went through my gangster I was Bubba, I was 100. I had these size feet.
Yeah.
I'm 155 pounds soaking wet. I'm 6 foot maybe. I shot up and I got a 77 Lincoln leather Mercury. Oh yeah, kid. And I'm leaning with that thing way back in my hats. And I would roll my sleeves up and my arms were like this. And men like you would walk by today and just go, oh, bless his heart.
Well, I was...
and I thought you were just afraid to look at me.
I was the Vanilla Ice horseshoe flat top, red hair. So a ginger with a horseshoe flat top who was also an altar boy in church. So
I was big in church.
I was walking down the aisle and these people were looking at me like, what the hell?
That is freaking awesome.
Big. I wore that for years.
That is
that was
awesome.
Obviously back in the Vanilla Ice days.
Oh, so you had the pants? And
I had the Z Cavaricis.
Bro.
I did all that
See,
stuff,
I
dude.
didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't have that. That's funny. All right, that was really good. So there's a lot of heavy stuff that you're dealing with at a young age, both on the street and then when you get all this. And so
Yeah.
you're 18, you start getting into sports. When did you start playing?
So back to the baseball thing, I ended up I made the All-Star team, ended up having to go watch that year's season of All-Stars from a wheelchair because I couldn't walk.
So you got it, and then all of a sudden...
And then I was like, I was so hurt because that was my sport. That's all I played. That's all I knew. That's all we grew up. My brother was a phenomenal baseball player. And at that time, I was just so hurt. I was like, I'll never play this shit again. And I never did. I never played baseball another day the rest of my life. Because she never exposed us to any other sports. That's all we did. She liked baseball. We played baseball.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
And when I got to high school, I was like, dude, there's all kinds of these other sports. Or when I got to middle school, then I started playing basketball. I started doing soccer.
Right.
That's when I get into track and the cross country. So then I went to high school, and I was like, oh, I got to play football. And our team sucked.
Right.
And there was just so many people. And every time I was like, oh, well, I'm going to join the weightlifting team.
Right.
So on the way to the weightlifting room, you had to walk down this hallway, and there's a little room in the side. And I just walk by, and I see this padded room, and I see these guys just picking each other up and slamming them down and throwing them against the fucking wall. And I was like, what are those guys doing? And they're like, oh, well, that's the wrestling team. And I was like, well, I'm going to be a wrestler. And the next year, I was like, I'm not playing football. I'm going out into that room. And ended up going out to wrestling for the next year. We're a week away from the season starting. The guy ahead of me, the varsity guy, I was JV, obviously, never competed. And he ends up breaking his collarbone. He's out for the season. So the coach walks up. He's like, hey, kid, you're varsity now for the rest of the season. Cool. Let's get it. I get the windbreaker, get the little singlet on.
Get the circle around.
So we do the circle around, right?
Right.
So I'm practicing in this cage all the time, in this, padded room. And then I'm like, man, I can't wait to go do this. And we go to the gym. We start running around the circle.
Because MMA doesn't exist around this time. No one even knows what it is.
No, I mean, there was martial arts, but there was never mixed at that time. So I start running around the circle, and I go up to the coach before our first match. I'm like, hey, man, I'm confused.
You're a senior?
No, I'm a sophomore.
Sophomore, okay.
And I'm like, where's the ring at? He's like, what are you talking about? It's like the fucking ring, man, with the turnbuckles. Everybody jumps off of it. And he just looks at me, passed me on the back, and he's like, good luck today, son. That's the only wrestling I knew. Yeah. I didn't know what. Like, when I thought I thought we were practicing. Once we get there,
you're gonna do the flip on the back,
jumping all that stuff. I'm trying to be Hulk Hogan and all that, and I was terrible, bro.
Yeah,
I think it went 9-26 or something.
Yeah,
my sophomore year, and I quit everything. I was like, dude, this is it.
Yeah,
like whatever it was that I found inside of me that wanted that one-on-one competition, me versus you. Yeah. There's no excuses. There's no timeouts. It's just me. I found something in that, and I was like, this is all I'm gonna do. All I'm gonna do is wrestling. And then I got good at it, of course. Yeah. Because what you focus on grows. Yep. So I quit the weightlifting team.
That 100 hours things everybody's talking about now.
Become an expert.
Absolutely.
So that was sophomore, junior, senior year. Just did wrestling, and then made it to regional semifinals. Got injured. Ended up going like triple overtime. Lost. Didn't go to state. That's it.
Yeah.
It's over for you. There's no more sports, and that was the wrap for what I thought were sports at the time.
Yeah.
I thought it was over.
Yeah. And so what do you, everybody that has a competitive drive like you, I have it. Where do you get your release at that time? Because the streets could be calling. Yeah. Bruce Park and all the, shout out to Bruce Park.
No doubt. I think it was just, again, it was
something in you.
There was something in me.
But there's no definition right now. But right here, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's like I just know I always never wanted to be mediocre. I don't know what it is.
But a lot of people want that.
Well, a lot of people.
But you were willing to take the next step to get through.
Yeah. And I think because I was in such an uncomfortable situation as a child and going through this shit that I saw,
it forged it.
That it forced me to
almost without you knowing.
Without me knowing, because that, like, you think
because you didn't fit in school because you're Panty Boy's boy.
Yeah, yeah. And then I come from a a broken household.
Yep.
And then
You
the
don't
friends
fi-
you thought were your friends, trust me, they're not going to be your friends anymore. And then the only sport that you played and your friends that were there, you no longer play that sport anymore. They continue to go. So you had to find a new set of friends. And then I go to high school, and you're all and just as a kid, as a teenager, you're always trying to fit in and kind of learn yourself. So that was a very strange 10 years of my life.
Yeah, me too.
But it also, I just know.
Were you in church? Was there any church faith, any kind of?
So we were in church because we went to a Catholic school.
Okay.
That's when I was the altar boy.
Right.
And then we had a falling out with the church for whatever reason. I don't remember exactly.
Sure.
I tend to block a lot of that youth.
I totally get it.
So, but I know that we were kicked out.
Where
of
does
our
that
church.
come from, and how do we do it?
How you block it out?
How do you get it back?
I don't know.
And do you?
Well,
Okay, let me ask you this.
That's a whole nother story we can get to later. Yeah.
No, you're going to be. This is you got to be coming back often. How do you tell whether it's real or it didn't happen? Because your brain really doesn't know the difference.
Well, I think a majority of it's not real.
I've gone to my dad. And I've gone, listen, this happened.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, no, this happened.
Yeah.
You could put me on a lie detector test. It happened.
Yeah.
Not sexual abuse or anything like that.
I think to a certain degree that some of it.
Some of it he may be hiding. Oh no, some of it the family hides.
Yeah, of course.
You got a family of secrets?
Oh, 1000%.
Do
yes.
I?
1000%.
And they're all this and the.
Well,
hey, just let it go.
Well, we'll get, I don't know how deep this rabbit hole is going to go.
It's as good as far as you take it.
Yeah, man. If you want to air it out, we can put it out there.
Well, I think the big thing about this is it's about a young man that is wounded, and there's no one to protect him, and that is a scary feeling for a young man.
Yeah.
And then to have to walk in, that was me, and be a part of when you're alone, although you're surrounded all the time, no matter where you. My brother was always the stud athlete,
right?
And to be around, and I had friends, but did I really? I didn't even know how to love me. How was I going to love you?
Right. Well, and I think
I didn't respect me. How's I going to respect you?
You don't really know the difference when that's all you know.
I didn't know because mine was
just
fairly,
like you only know what you know because what you've been taught. So I mean, if you grew
we were
up
very
poor,
legalistic.
If you grew up poor, you don't know you're poor until you go find some rich people, and you see somebody with a nice car and a nice house. You're like, man, how do you live like that? I've never seen anything like that. But at the time, you thought everything was great. You probably had great Christmases and great birthdays, and you thought at the time you had everything that you wanted. But I was exposed to. I was pushed into, hospitals and doctors and poked and prodded and surgeries and people make fun of you. And so it's for me, I just wanted to escape. Yeah. I got to get away from this. And that's why
then the seizures, were they in that time frame?
No, I didn't have seizures.
Okay. Sorry, that may be I went somewhere else.
No, but just the ridicule.
It's the mental trauma.
Yeah.
I mean, it's PTSD.
Sure. And it really should have been, for a lot of people. But
who helped me? Doing roofs. That's how I met you initially. Yeah. And then I met another man, and I was talking. He was in the military, and he is truly PTSD, and he lived near my old house. And I'd done his roof, and we sort of went away for a year. And I leave people around. I don't really chase them. And we sort of crossed paths again. He still needed help. And when I meet people, I am looking for the opportunity. There's hurting people all over the place, 100%. Right? So this guy began to help me. I was talking about, he was sharing stories like you're doing. I'm going, dude, similarity. And yet you powered through them. And he had done some things. He was in the military. So anyways, I asked him, I said, yeah, but I hate calling it PTSD because I don't want to dishonor, the military. And what I really see is PTSD. Yeah, sure. And he says, don't do that. He says that this was a military. He said you're as much as anybody, because the street, when your head is on a swivel, dude. Where you sit to this day, young lady, right? I mean, where you sit, how you look. I mean, everything. My eyes are like, it teaches you
for sure.
And then going through, if that teaches you, going through all the pain trauma and how to deal with it internally with no exit. Yeah. Once sports is gone.
Yeah.
So you're 18, 19. Do you have any vision of where you want to? Exactly right. Yeah. So where do you go?
Well, so quick rewind. And this
wherever
will be the next
go
chapter.
ahead.
So at 10 years old, I get burned. Right.
Right.
My mother and father weren't together.
Right.
Because my mother's best friend. My father was super pissed. super pissed. So he was like,
Nobody's watching him.
I'm gonna take care of him. He wanted to fly me out to Shands in the burn center in Houston. She didn't want to. She wanted me to stay at home. So he ended up suing her best friend's mom, the property, for an insurance claim because he's like, I don't know what's going to happen to this kid, but he needs some type of restitution so he's taking care of for the rest of his life. So he ends up suing for $100,000, which was the settlement from the insurance company. After lawyer's fees, I get $75,000. And
they're telling you that's the rest of your life.
Yeah. This is what your burns are worth.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know anything about this.
Understood.
So to rewind back to the 16, the only reason I started telling people at 16, because when I sat down with my mother and my grandmother at 16, they said, here's a checkbook. This is how much money you have. If you want to go buy a car, you can now buy a car because we can't afford to buy you one. But I just want you to know that and I was like, cool, I'm 16 years old. Cool, I want the coolest car I can go find. So I went and bought the coolest car I can go find. And then, so then at 18, they could legally sign over the money to me.
Right.
On my 18th birthday, I had to get a signature from my mom, signature from my dad. I hadn't talked to my dad in 3 years. Went and found him at this car lot he was working at. Signed away the money. At the time, it was $48,000. Right. I moved out of my house in Arlington, and I never, I did actually going back, but I wanted out.
Right.
At 18 years old, I went and got my own apartment. I went and bought a Ford Mustang GT 5.0.
Yep.
I was living the life. Not going to school. I was in high school. I was the only kid. I would not go to school for 1 or 2 weeks. I would show up to school. Zach Elkins was sick for the last 2 weeks. Signed Zach Elkins.
Wow.
Instant excused absence.
They had to.
So they didn't have to. I was a legal adult. I was paying my own.
You knew how to work the system.
So I was going to Bishop Kennedy. I was never going to Bishop Kennedy.
Right.
I was just, that's when drugs and alcohol got in because I would go and, I had unlimited resource. 18 years old with $50,000.
Yeah.
Like I was living on top of the world.
Yep.
I'd get in my Mustang and just drive to different cities and, party there and do all kinds of stupid stuff. And,
Searching for.
So then my best friend at the time,
searching for what you think?
I think I was searching to release the pain.
Yeah, there you go. All right,
I
keep going.
I think that's what
like
it was. And my best friend at the time, she was like, hey, I'm moving to Gainesville. So at that time, she was my pimp. I had 2 girlfriends. I had a steady girlfriend who was the wrestling team coach for like 3 or 4 years. So that was my steady girlfriend. And then my best friend had this girl she wanted me to date.
Right.
So she grew up with both of them and was like, no, I really want you to be with my best friend. So she would kind of set it up. She's like, oh, well, this girl will be here at this time. This will be at that. So she was kind of my pimp telling me.
So you become a gigolo.
Yeah. So I became a gigolo in when I had this apartment and I was just running these 2 girls out of it while I was hanging out with my best friend.
Doing what you do.
And we were just having the time of our lives. And then she was like, hey, I'm moving to Gainesville. And then the 2 girls found out about each other and it was over.
Right.
So I was like, damn, what am I going to do now? I was like, I'm just going to go to Gainesville with you.
Yep.
And then, so we moved down to Gainesville together and then just the partying continued, bro.
Yeah, because Gainesville's a good place to party.
Yeah. So then, I thought what I had there and I went down there and I was like, wait a minute. So
Females everywhere.
what, everybody does this?
Right.
All the drugs,
Right.
alcohol, and female, like everybody does this?
Right.
Oh, this is my place.
Right.
So I went to, I quit, college.
Right.
I think I had a 1.8 GPA.
Right.
When I quit, I only went to 1 semester of school. I stayed down there for about a year and a half, and then
Go Gators.
I ended up at the end of the year. She moved off and moved into an apartment with someone else. I moved off and got into an apartment with 4 buddies. So we lived together for a year. Then we broke it off, and then I get the phone call one day. She's like, "I'm pregnant," and I was like, "Oh, shit. What are you going to do?" She's like, well, I'm moving back home. I'm going to go raise this child. I was 19 years old at the time.
Yep.
Not going to school,
Partying,
doing drugs every single day. I was like, well, I'm staying here. Like, I don't want to be a daddy.
Yeah.
I didn't sign up to be a daddy. That's not what I wanted to do. And then, so I just went on a super downward spiral. And I was in the clubs like 2, 3, 4 days straight. Not sleeping, just all MDMA, like going to Simon's, like doing all that stuff. And it was just like weekend after weekend. My only goal, and again, it was suppressing the pain because 19, no job, drug dealer, living in college,
Yep.
no future, no direction.
Yep.
I'm like, dude, the only thing I wanted to do every day I woke up was to get more messed up than the day before. And that was my only goal.
Yeah.
Um,
When did you quit working?
when I went on like a 3 or 4 day binger. I went on a 3 or 4 day binger, and I remember picking up the phone. I called my mom. I was like, if you don't come pick me up, I'm probably going to die.
Did you ever have the ability to actually, do you think you ever had the ability to actually kill yourself, or were
Yeah.
you looking for others to do it?
No, well, I definitely contemplated taking my life because,
Yeah.
dude, I am not fit to be a father.
Yeah. And you
You know.
you tasted what you thought the world had to give,
Yeah.
and there's a hollow spot.
Yeah, super
And,
hollow.
and you knew it was there,
Yeah,
right? The
yeah.
prettiest girl, the greatest parties.
Yep.
There's Zach. What up,
Yeah,
Zach?
yeah.
The whole place would
Yeah.
light up, open up as you walk.
Yeah, and then
It's like I call go. It's like smoke. You're just
yeah,
and there's nothing there.
yeah.
It's smoke and
And,
mirrors.
they called me the candy man because if I showed up at a party, I had
The fun began.
I had a bag of MDMA, and it's like, who's here? Cool, we're about to have a good night.
Yep.
And I would just share, and
Yeah.
and again, I had all these resources.
Yeah.
I didn't care about losing money.
Right.
I sold,
Right.
but I used, and I gave a lot away.
Right.
So I mean, I told her, I was
But
like,
the drug dealer title gives you
Oh,
that with the
yeah.
car and the clothes. I
Yeah.
mean, it gives
the
you
Mustang, and,
right. And you're only losing slowly because you're making some. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's
It was-
controlled downward
it was
at first,
at first,
and then the bottom opens.
Yeah.
When's it open?
a year.
A year.
I blew through $48,000 in 1 year.
Yeah, my brother did it in
I had
42.
I traded in the Mustang because I'm trying to be smart
Yeah,
and financially savvy. So
Right.
let me get something less on insurance.
I have a little money.
So I got a Honda Accord and ended up having to trade that for cash just to keep rent. And
Are you
keep
still
food.
trying to tell the story to keep up the image
Oh,
and
yeah,
the?
dude,
I've
I'm
been
still, dude.
Yeah.
I went from the Mustang.
Why are you driving that? Oh, see, listen, the
Yeah.
cops will see me. I
Yeah.
want to be more down low
Yeah,
key.
That's it. I'm trying to be low key now. And then I blew through it all in a year. That was another thing. So it's like, dude, I don't have any money. I
Yeah,
have no resources. I'm about to move back home into Arlington
yeah,
to be at my mom's house where I don't want to be. I got a kid on the way with a girl that I'm not with. And I was like, man, forget this. This is not the life that I wanted.
yeah.
So that was probably my darkest time. And then,
Because now no direction. I mean,
I got nothing.
it's
Yeah.
black in front of you. You go to look and there's no.
Yeah.
I've been there.
so when I came home, I was back in the house. And
That's heavy.
My brother was working at some pizza joint.
How many years older is he? Or is he older?
He's gone now.
Okay.
So he committed suicide probably 4 years ago.
You want to get to that later? Or you
Yeah,
just
we
want,
can-
okay.
Yeah.
So let's stay here because then
yeah,
we're gonna.
so
Okay.
so I end up. He got me a job as a dishwasher. So I would work at this pizza place for $250 a week, and there was no clock in and clock out. There was no write down. I
Right.
pay you $250 cash.
Right.
You work 80
Right.
hours. Saturday, boom.
But 250 was decent money back then.
Well, I was working like 80 hours.
Yeah, so it was.
But then, I'm going to the clubs on the weekend. I would ride
Right.
back to Gainesville, hit Simon's, come back. Sometimes I would come straight from Simon's on a bender and go right into washing dishes. And then my son was born, and then it was like, dude, I got to clean up. Like it's time to change my life. Like I can't keep going this direction. So got into the restaurant thing. Ended up getting my feet under myself. Unknowingly, yeah.
Yeah.
I started waiting tables, but the thing is, me, I always wanted better, so I didn't want to work at like whatever. Like I
Right.
wanted high end, so I
Right.
moved to San Marco, and that's where she was living with the baby. So I was like, I'm gonna get an apartment. Didn't have a car,
Right.
so
So you're like 2021.
yeah, I was probably
Yeah.
like 19, 20,
Yeah.
and then I started getting into restaurants, started waiting tables, and then the cash
Taught you a lot, didn't it?
Yeah,
Okay, stop for a second.
sales.
Okay.
Yeah, sales.
I mean, it's like watching a better version, but it's just sexier, bigger swallow.
Yeah, just
Hearing
I
his
mean,
story's freaky.
It's
That's where sales
yeah,
that
sales.
because you had 3 seconds to make an
You have to be
impression.
quick on the spot, and the shifting and changing, and
Yeah.
then just
The controlled
manipulation, the
chaos.
control, and
Yeah,
so many different people you got to talk to.
arguing in the back, face on in the front,
then,
like that.
New restaurants would open up. Boom,
Yeah.
I go there. We're making so much money that then I'm going to Sherwood's. I'm drinking all night
Yeah.
long. Like
And we
Slurwoods.
partied.
like, dude.
Dave is from the
Yeah.
the bar business.
You got
and
so much
restaurant.
cash in your pocket.
Yeah.
You're like, Psh, I'm going
Yeah.
to work tomorrow. I'll make
Right,
the
I'll
more
just pop out.
cash.
Right.
You ever been to
What's
Slurwoods, Brett?
Bro,
yeah.
Slurwoods, come on.
Yeah.
We don't pour doubles because our singles are so strong.
We were Slurwoods every night. So I was drinking Slurwoods
Can't afford it back then.
for 2 years and then went there on my 21st birthday. And everybody at the bar is giving me shots. And they're like, what do you mean it's your 21st birthday? And I was like, sorry.
Yep.
I've been drinking there for 2 years. Because everyone went there after the restaurants, and that's just
Yeah.
the scene. So yeah, did that for a long time. Probably did
and
that for,
you're getting that becomes a drug for me.
yeah.
I never drank at the house. Mine was always out. I enjoyed the environment, the thump of the music. I didn't have to be out there dancing or anything. I'm not trying to pick up chicks necessarily, but they were just around. It was just the vibe. It was happy to me. It's what I thought happiness was.
Yeah.
It's going to come eventually.
Yeah.
And we had great nights.
Yeah.
Dude, I got great stories and
Yeah,
fun. And
100%.
I wasn't a mean drunk. It was a good times. Well, there was that one time. There was that one time.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's always the one-off. But
the
then,
one-offs began to grow for me.
Exactly. But then, over time, you're right.
Yeah,
You're
for
right
me.
about that.
So anyways, so you're having a good time and
Yeah. So
and you moved to San Marcos. So now are you involved in the child's life? And
as much as possible.
Yeah.
So she worked nights in the hospital, or days in the hospital. So it was, actually, this is before the hospital, but she lived down the road from me. And the problem was he went to school, preschool, in the morning time, and I was up drinking all night long. So I
2,
slept
3
during the
o'clock,
morning.
right?
So then when I go to work at 3, 4, he's coming out of school. So I was there as much as possible, but I wasn't there.
Yeah. You were young though.
I was
That's
young,
a lot,
and I was
and
still trying to
nobody,
figure
no
out,
guidance, no.
and
Other
then,
than the people, the older ones you work with at the restaurants, which
Right.
aren't the ones to get the advice from.
Yeah, exactly.
They're the ones to get the powder from.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the managers who are doing all the
They
the
taught
lines
us.
100%.
Absolutely.
And they're the ones who
They taught us
protected
the
you,
way.
and they're the ones that showed us the way.
Showed us the way.
But yeah, so I then kind of moved in with her, but I had this apartment.
Yeah.
And I had 2 dogs. And I'm like, man, this apartment's just sitting there empty because I'm staying down with her and we're raising this kid together. So I called my brother, who's never left the house.
Yeah.
Never left my mom's house. I'm like, dude, you gotta get out of the house. Like, you need to come out here to San Marco. I'll try to find you a job. I ended up buying him a car. First car he ever owned. I bought it because I had money, whatever. So I moved him in my apartment. I was like, you don't even got to pay rent. Just come out here, live, get on your feet, find some jobs. And so he stayed there. We ended up getting married or engaged at 25.
Right.
So it took me 6 years
Right.
to get my shit together.
Right.
Because I was not the man. And thank God that we didn't get married at that time because neither one of us were ready.
Yeah. Mine was 4.5.
Yeah, so we grew so much between that 19 to 25.
No doubt.
When people are getting married that young and you don't even know who you are, neither one of us, and everyone was telling us, you got to get married because, you got her pregnant. It's like, dude, we're not in love. We don't even know who we are yet.
Yep.
So we got married at 25. I moved out.
Are you starting to get wisdom by now? Like, or is there still rage and like, are you a fighter? Or were you?
No.
Okay.
No, so
so you
I had to get out of the restaurant business because
Gotcha.
I then saw again the lifestyle.
Okay.
So I had this one guy. He would come in. One of my good friends that I went to high school with. His dad worked in the commercial real estate business at this bank, at this mortgage bank, and he always wait on me, or I would always wait on him. And he
saw the watch.
Yeah,
you're
and
not.
He's like, if you ever want to get out of the restaurant business, let me know. I'm gonna hook you up because he could tell I was a good guy.
Yeah,
and I was trying.
I did. I made contacts.
Yeah. So then one time I called him up. I was like, yeah, this is the call. I'm ready. And he was like, okay, well, you have no skills. You have no college education. You're going to work in the mailroom. I can get you a job, but you're going to work in the mailroom. And I was like, cool. I got job security. I got a 401k. I got W-2.
You're already a grinder.
I'm just
you ain't afraid
dude,
to work.
Let's go do it. So I didn't know what I was getting into, but I knew I wanted to get away from the lifestyle of being up all night drinking and doing the restaurant business. I want to be home working a 9 to 5 so I can be home with my kid. And I'm married now. I want to take this serious. So started in the mailroom, and I would go and drop off the mail and dropping off, and I see these kids straight out of FSU and 22, 23 years old pulling up in Hummers and just making $100,000 a year, got all these fancy clothes, and I'm just like, that's what I want to be right there. And worked my way up from mailroom all the way to to processor, processing assistant, processing manager. Then I got into sales assistant. Then I got into sales, and I finally made it to that floor.
Did you have real friends at that time?
Yeah, for sure. So, so during that was a different circle of friends. Like I've lived so many different phases of my life.
I understand that.
So then, at that time I was not focused. I was focused on my career.
Yeah.
That was it. I want to.
I've been there.
I want to grow,
Yep.
climb that corporate ladder.
Yep.
And I looked at actually had my daughter's birthday. So we had 3 kids at the time. Had my daughter's birthday. She's taking pictures. My mother-in-law's taking pictures. I'm running across the backyard. There's a slip and slide. And I'm running across the yard to go on the slip and slide. And I see these pictures. This is back when we used to develop pictures, right?
Right.
Tells my age. So I'm flipping through the photos of the party. And I'm like, damn, who's that guy? And my mother-in-law was like, that's you. And I just see this big fat roll like hanging up and caught in midair on the run. And I was like, I was always an athlete as a kid. And I was like, damn, that's me. Very next day, got a gym membership. Started to get in shape, but didn't know how to get in shape because I hadn't done anything for probably 10 years. Never stepped a foot in the gym or anything. So then I just got trying to get
you're
as strong as
working, so
I'm
eat.
working. Yeah, so I'm eating. I'm at my desk.
I was on the
stressed,
road. Yeah.
I'm in East Coast. I'm in sales, so I got West Coast customers.
Yeah.
I'm taking phone calls 8, 9 o'clock at night, and this is when we were eating all you can eat on Sundays.
Nextels on your underwear.
Yeah, going off all the time.
All the time.
So it just wasn't a focus for us. We were, at that
Was
time,
it a drug for you? Looking back,
sales became my drug.
They like me.
Yeah,
That's
Well,
where
it
I
was the
gained
hunt.
the hunt.
Yeah.
And then you okay next.
Yep.
It was that deal, that rush.
Yep.
It was like gambling.
Yeah, it was like replacing the drugs.
It literally is.
The euphoria
There's
of having
there's endorphins that go
being
out.
high and then chasing that sale and getting it and seeing those commission checks and watching that and chasing the corporate ladder, which everyone's been told to do.
But hang on one second. I want to stop one second because this is where your and my story begins to divert. And this is the curiosity for me. I didn't have the confidence. I had the opportunities because I was at restaurants.
Yeah.
I was on Phillips Highway at the Hyatt that had the restaurant with it was really fancy. And I would meet people and they would invite me to do things and I always stayed back.
Yeah. Comfort zone.
It took me decades to finally. I would get to the edge to jump off, and I'd take that step back, and I'd see guys like you, and I'm like, damn it.
Well,
It's like at Strickland's. I'd be looking over, and you would already be doing a quadruple backflip. I'm going, damn it! And then now listen, this is just my grind. I would do it, and I remember my first flip I did. I flipped and I did a quarter, and I hit chest and face from the tallest one. I missed, man, and everybody's like, "You okay?" And I'm that guy. I can't feel anything. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I can barely move my arm." And then, but I would go up there and I would stand there for an hour. Sometimes I was so afraid to jump. He wasn't, and that's where did that was it? It wasn't just the street. Because I know a lot of scared people on the street. It was something.
Well, I mean, there's no way for me to pinpoint it.
Where you were just willing to fail.
Yeah. Well, I've already failed. Like I had already failed so many times at that point, and I think it was.
I guess I had more to go then.
Because the trauma that I went through, being burned alive, and almost dying, like that's like some people's worst fear in their entire life.
Do you have literally in your head, like you'll be at that time, like somewhere in that 18, 15, do you ever still replay it in your head?
No.
Wow.
No.
That's strong.
Yeah.
You just put it back?
Just put it back. And
Never popped up? Never popped up?
No. And
how do you close that door so tight?
I don't know, man.
I like it.
Even to this day,
I don't know is the most powerful words I know today.
What blows my mind is why I never said anything for 6 years. Why? I knew that wasn't the story.
Yep.
I've been ridiculed. I've been made fun of. People couldn't believe this happened. Every single person, people are like, what do you mean a sparkler caught a plastic truck on? That shit doesn't do that.
Right.
Why for 6 years? And the kid wasn't even in my life anymore.
Right.
He wasn't even my best friend anymore. He was nowhere around, but I still held on to that lie. I just put it behind me for whatever reason. And I got this in front of me, and this is what I'm attacking. And this is me trying to get healthy and start walking and going through these surgeries. This is the path.
That's
and
interesting.
I just went down the path,
That's
but
powerful.
I never looked back. I never, like, even when I tell people like, I would have killed the guy, I was like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
so
Okay, so get you back to.
well, hold on. This is the most
okay, go
amazing
ahead.
part. So this is the most amazing part, which I forgot. So
Good.
back to the money,
Good.
right? I grew up in the streets.
Right.
I grew up in Arlington.
Right.
Don't come from any money.
Right.
Got to go to Bishop Kenny because I got burned and I got the insurance check, and that is what gave my mom the money to afford me to go to private school. So check this out. This is how amazing God works in your life sometimes, right?
Yes.
Because a lot of people get stuck in the process.
Yep.
Oh God, why me? Why is this happening to me?
Yep.
You know, I'm trying to do everything right, but you don't see the path of what God is processing in your life till you get to the other side, and then it becomes so clear for you.
And if he would just show you,
He would
I don't know
just-
that I would follow.
You wouldn't.
Right.
You wouldn't. You just
So
need
he
to
has to
shut your
shine
mouth
the
and
light
you
on the
just gotta
next
go.
step.
Yeah.
Here's the way I've always put. I'm so glad you brought this up. So everybody always talks about, listen, and the Bible talks about it and all about the light, and the path. And
Right.
my life is, my foot has to be moving before I even know where it's going to set down.
I mean, of course.
Action.
Because your job is not to figure out.
My job's not to
how.
know the how.
Your
I mean,
job is
no, my
just-
job's not to know the why.
Right.
It's just eventually God's
Well-
going to show me
Well,
here,
you're
this.
not going to know the how.
No.
Because everything that you have in your life and this podcast at
Yep.
some point in time was just an idea in your mind.
Talked about it
And
for
you don't-
7 years.
You don't know how
Nope.
you're going to have this and be 20 whatever episodes you
Yep.
are into. But
Nope.
at first, you're going to have the idea. Then
Yep.
you're going to take the action.
Yep.
And then he'll
Yep.
show you.
And people are like, you going to do what?
But you don't take the action.
Yeah.
People get the idea and then they don't take the action. So
That's
back to the
good.
back to the
That's
story.
good.
The
Go ahead. I'm
I
listening.
ended up going to high school because I got burned and we got the insurance check.
Yeah.
My wife grew up in Ortega,
Right.
$1 million house,
Right.
Beaver Cleaver family,
Right.
you know, tons of money.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I know a lot
lived
of
on
the girls.
lived on the river, you
Oh,
know,
I
jet
probably-
skis and boats and all
yeah.
that stuff. So we couldn't have grown from more polar opposite of upbringings. I'm from the streets in a trailer. She's up from the country club in a $1 million house on the river.
Yeah.
There's no reason that the two of us should ever cross paths, ever. Our families, our areas of town, the schools we went to had nothing. There was no semblance whatsoever. The only reason I got on that campus was because he dropped that match. And it's the greatest day that ever happened to me in my life. And so many people, every time I tell the story, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. You know,
Don't be.
You don't understand. If he doesn't drop that match, I don't get burned. I never go to Bishop Kenny. I never meet my wife. I never have the life I have today. I don't have the children that I have today. You understand?
Absolutely.
Like if I didn't get that money,
Yeah.
that was my way out.
Yeah.
That was my way to get. And I got to Bishop Kenny and I saw rich kids.
Yeah.
I saw nice cars.
I did too.
And I was like,
I said,
"Damn."
oh,
Yeah.
oh.
But you
there's
know,
another
like,
world.
I am who I am because
Because
that
of the
happened.
pain.
Yeah, and it's just like, don't feel sorry for me. It's
Right.
the greatest day.
Yep.
The second greatest day ever was marrying my wife. The first greatest day of my life was dropping that match.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't drop that match, we never meet.
Wow.
I never have this
And
life.
that's
in
why
the-
you got the torch in fighting.
No, that's even crazier. He didn't even know the story.
Huh?
He didn't even know the story.
No.
Yeah.
God did though.
Yeah. Well, that's what. So what's crazy is I move out to Fleming Island, and I lived in Ortega. I'm at the bank.
Right.
I'm chasing my career.
Right.
I'm in the worst shape of my life.
How big did you get to?
240.
I actually saw a picture the other day. I went back
Yeah.
on some of your pictures when
Yeah.
you were in the suit and tie. I was
Yeah.
like, because I went up to 305.
Yeah.
But when I met y'all, I was big.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got up to 240, and there was a MMA gym literally like a mile down the street.
Yeah.
Followed UFC my whole life. Walk in, I'm like, hey, I want to look just like those guys on TV. I'm married. I work at a bank. I got 4 kids. I am never going to fight. Just come in here, train. I'll get people ready.
What year
all
was
that-
this? Just
2000.
see, next time I'm gonna keep a mic over there with her. No, because we do it all the time. Because you can sit
Yeah.
over there and then you'll pipe in next time. So go ahead. 2010.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I start training MMA in the worst shape of my life. I'm about 6 months into it. This guy walks in the gym and he's putting on the.
Were you excited the whole 6 months?
Yeah, it was.
I mean,
cool.
you're fucking loving it.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. Like there
Because
was
you're
like,
out of shape.
That was out of shape, but there was an area of the killers. I didn't go into the killer.
Okay,
section.
okay.
I'm just going to the classes.
Okay.
I'm going to the classes. I'm learning how to do jujitsu, and like I had
Okay.
one submission. Like
And
literally.
you could lead. You knew you got that guy.
Oh, I got wrestling. Yeah. So I
Okay.
knew I had wrid wrestling.
Oh,
Background.
that's right. You had
So I had a
wrestling.
wrestling
See, I
background.
didn't.
Yeah. So
I don't.
So this guy walks in and he's like, hey, we're putting on the first amateur MMA event ever in the history of Jacksonville. It just got sanctioned by Florida, saying they can now do it. We're doing it in January.
You're 6 months in.
I'm 6 months in.
One move.
I got one move.
I love it.
He's like, everybody has to sign a liability waiver if you get injured today, because it's basically a tryout.
Right.
And they had a cage inside of this gym. And he's like, boom, how much do you weigh? How much do you weigh? What are your records? Boom, y'all go in there fight. And I was like, this is the coolest shit ever. So I grab a chair, I get right to the cage, and I'm sitting there with my popcorn.
Absolutely.
I'm, like, I'm getting to watch live fighting right here. And he comes by, he goes, I need you to sign a waiver. I was like, oh, no, dude. I'm 33 years old. I work at a bank, bro.
Right.
I'm not fighting.
Right.
And he's like, no, you just have to sign the waiver. You're not going to get picked. You
Right.
know, I understand you. We're here for those guys.
Right.
And I'm like, cool, no problem.
You think they were setting you up?
No, I don't think they've set me up at all. So this guy walks in, and he was at NES, stationed at NES. His name was AJ Aguilar. I hope he hears this podcast, because shout out to him. He walks in, and the guy, he's like, what's your weight? He's like 205. He's like, do you have any MMA? He's like, no MMA, no jiu-jitsu. He's like, what about boxing? He goes, yeah, I was a 2-time Golden Gloves boxer. I was 45-0 in Virginia.
Right.
And I was like, wow, that guy's a fucking badass.
Right.
And then he turned around and looked at me. He goes, what about you? What do you weigh? And I was like, 205. He's like, you got any boxing? No. Jiu-jitsu? No. MMA? No. Why don't you go in there with him? I was like, and I'm on the spot.
Right. Everybody's
I
looking
was like,
out.
holy shit, I don't want to go in there, dude.
Right.
So I go in there, they lock the door, and it was the first time in my life I heard that pin drop. Click.
I've never heard it.
Yeah, well, that's the door of the cage locking behind
No,
me.
I know what you meant. I'm just, you got me excited and
it's
scared at the
just-
same time.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I mean,
and you're looking across from this guy who's 45-0.
And that
He's
guy's
never-
about to move from between y'all.
But yeah, he's about to separate this gap that we have between us.
Yeah.
And there's tons of people standing around watching me, and I was like, oh, this is really bad. And as soon as he threw that first punch, I took him down. Only thing I knew was wrestling. I only knew one move, which is the rear naked choke, and I got his neck, and I choked him out.
Did you fight out of fear?
Oh, yeah. That was all that was.
Yeah.
I was scared.
Did you learn to
death.
channel that? Do you?
Oh, 100%.
Because see, for me,
experience.
fear was a powerful tool for me.
So I'm on the ride home, coming over the Buckham Bridge, like, babe, you're never gonna believe what happened tonight. Like, this is so.
So now
cool.
you're on a high.
And then she's like,
Banker to
she's like,
badass.
Yeah, she's like, you're so.
That's the
stupid.
title. Banker to badass.
That's it. Yeah, she's like, you're not fighting. You're a husband. There's no way you're. I was like, dude, I'm not doing it. I'm just telling you. They're not gonna pick me. I signed the waiver. I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
I was on
get
such a rush.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm like watching TV. Bing, 11:30. I looked down on my phone and said, you got picked. I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna tell my wife this. So next day I'm like, hey babe, so I told you like I wasn't gonna get picked, right? Well, they picked me. And she's like, why are you not doing it?
I like seeing the smirks over
And then
there.
I was like, well, babe, come on, like. So I'm just gonna do this one time.
One time.
I'm just gonna do this one time. I'm gonna put it on Facebook. I'm gonna be like Facebook fighter and all this stuff. And she's like, you're not doing it. It took me 2 weeks to finally convince her. 2 weeks, finally. And she was like, all right, you're gonna do this one time. And one time only. You're not a badass. You work at a bank. You're a dad. You're out of shape. Blah, 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 all the excuses. I was like, sweet. Text him back. I'm in. So, I got the t-shirts made. I had VIP, 6 tables, everybody I knew, everyone from the bank. Guys, you're never going to believe there was 3,000. So I get there, and this kid was 19. He had just done 2 tours in Iraq on Desert Storm. He took off his shirt, and he was built like a brick shit house.
Yeah.
And I remember when I came out first, 3,500 people, place was sold out, standing room.
You don't know? Are you in there? Hang on a second, because I love these awkward moments. Are you like when you walk out? You don't know whether to do the bounce or the walk, and you're doing the awkward.
I fist pump at everyone from the bank. I'm
Just
like,
somebody
"What's up?
touch me.
I'm
Somebody, yeah.
like, my kid, my wife's there drinking. We all got matching shirts on.
You're not
like,
even You're not
dude,
even getting zoned
nothing.
in.
This was Morocco's Shrine Auditorium.
Yeah,
so
I know it.
3,500 people
Yeah.
sold out. I get in the ring, and then he comes out. He takes his shirt off, and I looked at my wife, and I was like, I fucked up. Like,
This is gonna
was
hurt.
stupid.
I've been in those.
Yeah,
This one's
guy's
gonna
a
hurt.
Trained
Yeah.
soldier. He did
Yeah.
I work at a bank.
What was I thinking?
What was I thinking? And he did the whole bing, and I don't remember anything else. It was
It's that moment.
yeah. I don't remember. I can't tell you a single thing that happened during that 47 seconds. But all I know, 47 seconds, that guy was pulling me off and saying, "He's done. It's over." and I'm climbing up off this beaten down guy.
Hold, please, Dave. Play it. Downsize us, and then we have a one little clip.
That wasn't him.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that, but it's just
Yeah.
so they get a little idea. Oh, hang on. Let me turn it up.
I got a story for this one too.
Watch this right here. Zach's in the white.
And bink.
And down. Finish.
But that broke his ribs.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
Them front kick. That was a straight front kick,
No,
right?
That was a round kick right
Round
to
kick?
the ribs.
Oh.
Broke his ribs. That was the sickest I've ever been in my entire life. Had over 100-degree fever. Lied to the doctors that I was good. Went through the whole check. Slept in the back. That Tom McManus, Jacksonville Jaguars. That was his show. It was his first show.
Really?
I was sleeping in the back, like sick as a dog. And like before I was going out, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Like my whole body, like the chills and the whole thing.
And then he separates, and you go.
I was like, it's a wrap.
Yeah. How many rounds?
That was
did
only
go?
one.
Only one
Yeah.
round.
But so anyway,
If it had got you into the 4th, 5th round, who
I'd have been in
knows?
trouble.
Yeah.
I'd have been in trouble. There's no way.
Oh,
I
there's
would
no
have
4 or 5 rounds. Sorry.
It was 3.
3 rounds.
Yeah, well, championship rounds are 4
Yeah,
or 5, but
yeah.
amateur was 3. But I wouldn't have the stamina. I don't even know like how I landed that kick. I landed it, and then it was over. But I remember telling Tom McManus that story afterwards. He's like, "That's crazy. I would have never known, because if the doctors had known, they would have never let me fight. But somehow I made it through the doctor protocol and ended up fighting. But that's Morocco Shrine Auditorium for one of the events.
So you walk in. I just want them to get an idea of you in the fight scene. So you walk in and they clink and you win and you
so
get
then we
picked.
go to the bar and me and my wife are drinking and we're just on top of the world. And I was like, babe, that was only 47 seconds. It wasn't even like a real fight.
Right.
Can I do it one more time?
I mean,
and she's like, let's do it. It was awesome. So we do it again. Boom, done it at the first round. We go start drinking. I was like, what about one more? And she's like, oh, this is easy.
So did you just have a knack for it?
No, I didn't have a knack for it. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
You just had tenacity.
Yeah,
the grind.
I just had something. I'd go into an inner side of me and just.
Can I ask something from a fighter? Because I'm a street guy, and my fights have always been street bars, all the stupid stuff. Do you enjoy the warmness? I mean, that numb warm that comes when that thump comes. Okay, I'm not gonna feel as much anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would love, because I was scrawny, so I had to have longevity.
Yeah.
I didn't know in the MMA they do. I mean, I would let somebody, you could whoop on me for a little bit, because I know when I hear that.
Yeah.
Now it's my, and I wasn't a face guy. I didn't know why. I was never MMA, but I was a grounded pound guy. So if I ever got somebody down, I would. What do y'all call these? I didn't know
Hammer
hammer
fist.
fist. And I was just, just until.
There's no better feeling. Like, I mean, I played all the sports.
It really is.
But when you take in a man's soul, when you take a man's soul with your bare hands, and
Okay.
there's no.
Keep talking. No, please, because
there's just nothing like it. I played football. I've done cliff diving. I've done skydiving. I've done everything. I've done surfing. I've done all the things. But when you wrap your arms around a man's throat, and you choke
and
him
he
out,
knows,
or,
and
or
you know,
you kick
and
a
the
guy
world knows,
and his ribs break on the end of your foot, and
you're a
he drops,
gladiator.
The greatest thing about the sport was people don't understand. Like, there's no plan B.
Right.
There's no hook. Hey, coach, I got beat. Or, hey, we need to do a double team.
Timeout.
Right. There's none of that.
Let's have a mound
you
talk.
You go out on your shield, bro.
Right.
You go out on your shield.
Right.
So
you were exposed in every aspect.
Dude, if you weren't properly trained, if you took days off, if you took nights off, if you half-assed it through training, everything is going to become.
And so was it fear-driven?
Yeah.
So I don't want to not be the best. Or was it vision-driven?
I think it was
I want to be
vision-driven.
the best.
Well,
I
didn't know that I could be a champion at that time. I was so deathly afraid of getting embarrassed in front of everyone I knew, because I think that had been made fun of my whole life, that I just could not stand being embarrassed again.
Exposed.
So yeah, that was at that time.
Fear of being exposed.
I didn't know I was going to be a champion, and it wasn't until my third fight.
So you're 2-0.
I'm 2-0. I get this third fight, and then they're like, "Hey, you're fighting Bobby Thompson."
So they're going to test you a little bit.
Immediately, I'm like, I'm in.
Okay.
And then people find out, and they're like, "Dude, you can't fight Bobby Thompson. Like, Bobby Thompson's a legend. He got his black belt from Hoist Gracie.
No.
Traveled. So I'm like, whatever. Bobby Thompson,
Right.
Google. Holy shit. There's him with Hoist Gracie with
Right.
him in Asia. There's him
Right.
in Australia. He's traveled the whole world going
Right.
to these seminars, shoulder to shoulder with Hoist Gracie, doing seminar for jiu-jitsu. And I'm fighting this guy, and everyone's like, dude, don't do it. And I'm thinking in my head, what's the worst could happen? He chokes me out. You know, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to say I'm not going to do it. And then I find out he's opening his jiu-jitsu gym the day after. We're fighting Saturday night. Sunday morning, he's having a free seminar to open his first jiu-jitsu gym. So he was doing that as a marketing promotion.
Piss you off?
That pissed me off. And I didn't know.
My kind of guy.
So then I was like,
Oh, you
pissed.
motherfucker.
I was like, you really think you're going to fight me and then just wake up the next
I'm
day?
a clown?
And yeah, like I'm just a chump. And dude, ask anybody from back in that day.
17 hours a day?
So I sat in a cubicle and I printed out every one of those pictures off of Google with Bobby Thompson, and I surrounded my entire wall inside of my cubicle at work. When I woke up, I thought about Bobby Thompson. I said, what is Bobby Thompson doing right now? I go to work, or when I went to work, I saw him 8 hours a day. When I went to training, I cut out a picture. I had him in my car. When I went to sleep, I thought about Bobby Thompson. He was
that
not
wasn't
ready.
a chip. You put a boulder on yourself.
He was not ready.
Yeah.
And our whole thing was brawl and sprawl.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep it on our feet.
I like
if he
that.
gets close to you,
Yep.
push him away, push him
Yep.
away, push him away. If he got a hold of you and takes you down, because he's
Yep.
very good, we're going to hold him
Yep.
until the referee says get up, and we're
Right.
going to. And I beat the living piss out of him. They took him off in a stretcher, and then at that time they were like, "This guy's the real deal.
Right.
He's legit. This is the
Promoters start coming, all the
Everyone,
big
dude, I
boys'
was getting
phones.
all the phone calls. Everybody from
Is
all
Mama
the other gyms.
involved now? Is she starting to?
Oh yeah, dude,
Okay.
biggest fan. Like,
No, I mean as a blocker between the phone calls and all.
no. So
it's
the
just
coaches
you?
handled all that.
Okay, okay, that helps.
Yeah, the
That
coaches
helps.
handled all that stuff. But then what was cool about it is because all the top names in Jacksonville, because we all trained at different gyms, they all came here. They're like, dude, I want to train with the Bobby Killer. So then we had
Wow.
a nasty team in the beginning. So then I started getting phone calls like, hey, you want to go fight this guy at main event down in Gainesville? This
How many years span? So you
7 years.
Okay, so
So-
for 7
Yeah.
years.
So that's when. So I was 3-0, and I was like, cool, I'll go fight this guy.
33. So you're 40. You
Well,
fought to your
39.
39.
40 years old is when
Okay,
I stopped.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I so and then I got my first real test. Went to a title fight down in Gainesville. This guy was a 4-time.
What's your record at that time?
When I fought him, I
Yeah.
was 3-0.
Okay,
That was my
I got
first
you.
title fight. Yep.
Okay,
Then I lose 2
so
title fights in a row.
I mean, they threw you up pretty quick.
Yeah, because of the name, and then I go down there, and then I realized the competition was a lot
Yeah.
better. So
Yeah.
then I was like, whoa, I got to slow down here,
Yeah,
and I got to start. At that time, I knew I had something.
yeah.
I didn't think I was going to be a champion, but
But
the
I mean,
fact
you
is
beat
that-
Bobby, so
Yeah, I beat Bobby, so I was
you
like,
gotta
the
have
world's up.
something.
Everything I want is right,
Right.
my fingertips. So,
Right.
So that's when I took it serious. And I didn't cut weight before. I just fought at my natural weight, 205. So then I started cutting weight. I got to 185. I really started training. And I was just, one, I had old man strength. Two,
Yep.
I had my history of going through pain. I have a super high tolerance for pain, obviously. And then, I'm just, I'm 33, 34, 35 at the time. I'm built differently than these 18-year olds.
does it slow down? Was it more? I
It
mean,
slows down over time.
yeah.
You start
I mean,
to see
it's
the
like
punches. In
yeah,
the beginning, I'd have to go back and watch the video.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I know I won.
yeah.
I had to go back and watch. And then over time, I fought 22 times.
Yeah.
And
Let me ask you something, and this just helped the old man. What do you stare at when you're in front of a guy? What is it? What part of his
Shoulders.
body?
Shoulders.
God,
Shoulders and hips.
because you can't throw a punch without
Yeah.
that muscle's going to tweak.
Yeah. Or it's going to dip.
It's going
you
to
know?
dip.
So those are the
Okay,
tells.
thank you.
Yeah. And
That was
you
just for
never
me.
watch it-
I don't care if y'all care about that. That one was for me.
You're never watching their hands or their feet. but
Never.
Those are the tells.
People
And
stare
like
at the
you said,
eyes. I got you,
no,
kid.
Just like just like with experience with anything else, the more you do it, the rule of
Yeah.
100.
Yep.
Once you do it enough, you get better at it. And that's
You know how
just
to
kinda
control
was.
the emotions.
And you
and
get in, and then it just became, dude, I was just fighting everybody.
yeah.
Like at that time, I was like, dude, give me anybody you got. I don't care.
How often in a year?
So no, it was back then. They didn't have any rules.
Oh.
You could fight every weekend.
Oh,
So I kept winning, and I was like, give me another fight, another fight. So I fought 3 times in 1 month,
oh God.
and didn't have any injuries. Was
As
winning.
long as you-
So
okay,
I was like,
gotcha.
let's keep this thing going.
Yeah.
And I had no intentions of being a champion,
Right.
being in the UFC, being a professional fighter.
You're
none of
doing
that
the
stuff.
next right thing.
Dude, I'm going to a bank. Like this is just
Right.
something I was doing at night and on the weekends, and it was cool. And this was like, I was building this image. I was
Yeah.
building this brand,
Yeah.
not even knowing it, because as I got better and as I got more title fights and as I started winning titles, you look out in the crowd and you see all these guys wearing my shirt with my name on it.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I'd sell 100 shirts before a
Yeah.
fight. And then you get out there, you see a wave of just Elkins shirts out there. And when I came out, bro, and fireworks are going off, and you know
That's a drug, isn't it?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
So I was that replaced all of the drinking and the drugs, and that was my thing.
Yep.
And
That makes sense.
I was locked in.
You didn't want to lose that.
Became the most decorated MMA fighter in Jacksonville's history.
Really?
Yeah. And I've done it all. I won the state title at 37 years old. I still hold the record for the oldest Florida state title holder at 37 years. This is a young man sport, obviously.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
I don't know that it's ever going to be broken, but if it does, who cares?
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
But so there's no state champions from Jacksonville. I'm the only one, and I won it twice. And then I had the most. I think I had 5 title wins. I think I had 10 title fights total, which no one's had that many. And then I had the most title wins, most decorated champion ever.
And did you attempt to go further? And
so then what happened? Same thing. This guy comes rolling in on his white horse, and he said, you know, I'm putting on this huge professional event, and you're the biggest guy we got here. I want to sign you to a 3-fight pro contract, which no one on that card got a 3-fight pro contract. Right. I was the only one. So he signed me to it. I was like, dude, I've been doing this for free. But see, the hustler in me, I was selling the T-shirts. Well, then I was selling the company logos on the back. So they would sponsor me. They would pay me. I'd put your logo on the back.
Right.
So the back of these shirts were just covered with company logos. So I'm making money there.
Right.
I was making money on the ticket sales from my commission, and then I was making money on the shirts. So I was making like $4,000 or $5,000 a fight as an amateur.
Right.
I can't get paid.
Right.
Because when you get paid from the promoter, then you're a professional.
Right.
So I was getting paid outside of the cage.
But you're making more than
My first pro fight, I was 500 and 500.
Right.
Can we take a pause real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to go to the bathroom.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. You're good. No, it's this way, right there. Yeah. It still rolls, but it's no big deal. You go right around the corner.
Straight up the steps
Me
on the right.
and Dave sit here and talk about some of what he already talked about. Bro.
Yeah.
You talk about being through some stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But it was so.
I mean, I can't imagine the pain for 8 years as a kid.
Yeah, and he just skips right through it. Not like in a negative way. I'm so impressed. If I hadn't stopped, I think he just jumped right through it. I mean, they scrape to get your skin.
Yep.
They have to get in baths and scrape off the dead skin.
Yeah,
and
the burning is like one of my biggest fears.
So he was forged, but it's not that. It's not. I mean, his tenacity, and I've known him to be, and what some people call intense. What do you know? I get called intense.
Yeah.
So he's always interested me, and it was forged in his youth, and he doesn't even know that it was forged. I mean, he was subconsciously, and he's not afraid to use the word "I don't know."
Mm-hmm.
That's power, and we'll get to that a little bit later. We got 10. What time we got?
9:51.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we'll get another hour because he's a definite.
Oh, he'll be back.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know what y'all think about this, but y'all are crazy. So, you don't ever apologize.
No.
This thing stays live, and then we just keep talking. You'll see
And
it.
then you just cut it?
Oh, no, we don't cut it. It's raw, unedited. That you will love it.
Cool.
And so, but listen, your story is. Let me see it. Yeah, it goes one way and won't go another way. There you go. Well, if not, go the other. Let me see it. You're smart. Let's see. Oh, here you go.
Yeah, well, since it's live, then we'll.
Watch it.
Yep.
There you go. So you are 6 years in. You're holding the 2-time state title. So you lost it once, I
fought for 3 times.
Okay.
I fought for so my last amateur fight, which ended up fighting Brad Taylor.
Yep.
Big, huge name. He was on. He was an axeman on that.
Right.
History Channel.
Right.
Where he would go wrestle those,
You're okay.
or he would pull those big logs out of the Swanee River and stuff.
Right.
So we ended up fighting, but before that happened, my coach was from Maine, so I was ranked number 1 at the time. I was number 1 fighter in middleweight,
Right.
in the state of Florida, and then my coach, he was from Maine, and a promoter over there, they had the number 1 guy in the Northeast. And like, dude, we can't get anybody to fight this guy. He's like 7-1. He's 6'6".
Right.
We can't get anybody to fight him. Do you have anyone that would fight this guy at middleweight? We can't find anyone in all of the Northeast. And my coach is like, I got a guy. So they fly me up there. His name was Buck Pino. He was ranked number one in all of the Northeast, which is the New York, Massachusetts, New England area, Maine. So I was ranked number one. He was ranked number one. Went up there, dusted him off in the first round. That's on YouTube also. You can look him up. Zach
What
Elkins.
year was that?
What year was that?
I'll post links on the bio.
If you look up Zach Elkins versus Buck Pino.
Okay, I'll get it. We'll find all that.
That's on
We
YouTube.
got it.
That's on YouTube.
Yeah.
New England Fights is the promoter. Smoked him in the first round.
I love the way you said that. Smoked him in the first round.
And came back home, and then it was just like now at that time I was ranked number one in the Northeast and number one in the Southeast at the same time.
Do you have an ego
No, well, no,
at that time?
no. Well, I mean, I knew I was good, and I didn't have an ego, but
But you were already married as well.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But what's really crazy is I'm actually not an attention-driven guy at all, which is really strange because you're in the spotlight. I don't like the spotlight, and that's
Okay,
just
that I
because
understand.
that I don't. That's because of my childhood. I don't
really
I was
think.
always in the spotlight because, and even though people may see this persona that they think like,
Yeah.
oh, this guy's bigger than life because all, but I really
When you
did
get
like,
home,
dude,
you
I
yeah.
was
Did you
scared,
like yourself?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
But then I started.
He flew by me. I got to somehow figure this out because I'm still not liking myself into my 30s and 40s. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
Well, physically, I became what I wanted.
Yeah.
When
you had achieved some things.
My goal was just to get in shape and look like those guys in TV. So I had achieved that goal.
My goal was too, but I just didn't want to go to the gym.
Well, that's the problem.
That's
bro.
okay. That's where we
Well,
diverted.
in that time period, I also had to cut weight, right?
Yeah.
So you want to be the bigger guy in the smaller weight class. So then I started teaching myself about nutrition,
Yeah.
teaching myself about meal prep. I had never meal prepped a day in my life before that. Now I had a purpose to meal prepping. And that's when I just really started dialing in my nutrition. And after doing that over 7 years of eating in Tupperware containers and all of that stuff, I got really good. I cut over 500 pounds over my career. So when I was at Bank of America, a guy next to me was like, "Hey, will you make my meals for you?" I'm like, "Dude, lazy ass, make your own food. Like,
Right.
I got a wife, I got a kid,
Right.
I got this fighting thing I'm doing. I'm going to the bank. Like,
Right.
you don't even have any of that stuff." And then he's like, "Well, I'll pay you $10 a meal." Now this was 10 years ago. That
Right.
was a lot of money for me.
Right.
Now it's nothing.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I'll do it. It was just side money for me. And I just made a post on Facebook, bro, here's your meals for the week. Bing.
Yep.
And then it was just bing. I didn't know you were doing meal prep. Bing. Oh, I'll buy from you. And I tell my wife, I'm like, man, I can't believe there's people that want to pay me for this. So we literally started meal prepping out of our house on Sundays.
Did you come up with a name initially?
There was no business.
Okay, no business.
There was no business. This was not going to be a business.
Right.
This was just us making some money.
So
we
2015-ish, somewhere in there, 10 years ago. About right.
probably
But
about
I think
right.
it was longer. I think it might
I
have been
think
a
I
little bit
saw
further.
it on. It said 2017.
2017 is when we
Well,
made it a business.
yeah. I mean, I had nutty idea, and there was 3 years
Yeah,
of me doing it before.
2017.
So 2015,
2015,
Yeah.
2016 is probably when we started meal prepping on Facebook.
right?
And then just boom.
We got to start paying taxes somehow. We're making
No,
some money.
We
so
weren't.
it's-
You know what got us was Fleming Island residents.
I know.
Someone made a post and said, be careful of these people who are selling food out of their house because they're not licensed and insured and blah, blah, blah. And I looked at my wife and I was like, what the hell is she talking about? This license and insurance. I'm just selling food to my buddies.
That
Right.
residence page.
This is like potluck for
Right.
money, for profit. And then we looked it up online. Oh, man,
Oh,
we
cottage.
could lose our house. Then it was more
Yeah.
than cottage because we were selling proteins.
Oh,
So we were not inspected by the state. We're
Right.
selling proteins. We didn't have time and temperature abuse.
Right,
like,
right.
like we have now. But yeah, so then I was like, so we got to make a decision here. We either stop doing this because I don't want to lose my house, or we start a business. And she's like, let's do it. Let's just start this business together. And I have a full-time job. You have a full-time job. And we'll just use the money and go on vacation for the kids. And then, so I started that in about 15, 16. We started the business at 2017. We walked into our first commissary kitchen and, we got licensed and insured
Right.
and did not know, never been in a commercial kitchen in our life. We asked the manager, like, how do you use this? How do you use this? She's like, I don't know. I just work here. Like, I don't even know how to use this equipment.
Right.
I don't know what a salamander is. I don't know what any of this stuff
Right.
is. Like, what do you,
And you've named it by now.
yeah, so we named
Lean Impact.
it Lean Impact Nutrition
Right.
is the name
Lean,
of the business.
Lean Impact.
And the reason I named it that, because of the impact that nutrition had on my life that kept me lean year round. And that was from
That's
eating
really
from
good.
these meal prep containers. So, it's really was, the business was grown organically.
Yeah.
It was built from the fight game. No different than when I told you when God is processing you, everybody thought I was going to be a UFC star,
Yeah.
And it was never about making it to the UFC. It was about me fighting and learning the skills of nutrition so then I could serve other people with their weight loss goals through the business.
I remember the day I realized that it wasn't me that was going to be in front of tens of thousands. And I told my wife, I said, I went through all this to teach my children. And all of a sudden, when, here's Zach standing in front of 80,000 people, serving God. And I mean, a dynamic believer who could sleep with so many women in the stands because it's all this baseball and dancing. And yet he is just, they get together, a group of them, I mean, a good group of them, have Bible study after the game. And there's that group of me's that would have been out of the bar. They're out because they're dancing in the stands and they'll get a girl's number. Those, that happens, I'm sure. But pretty interesting. Neat to see. Anyways, keep going. So you are now at your end, or
Well, so I thought I was at my end.
yeah, you keep saying just one more. This is it. I mean, you've done 20 fights around.
Then the
now.
pro guy came in, and because that was the time I was ranked number 1 in both.
Yeah.
So he's like, dude, I got to have you. It's in Jacksonville. You're the biggest name here. So I signed a 3-fight pro contract. That's on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely sparking the guy for 14 minutes and 45 seconds. It was not even remotely close. Just murdering the guy. Made one mistake, caught my neck, and that was it.
That game, that's all it takes.
That's all it took.
I have
seen. You can even, if you watch the interview at the post-fight interview with the guy that comes in, he was like, dude, everyone had left the building.
Yeah.
They were going and getting beers and hot dogs. This wasn't even close. This was never a fight. When you walked in the building,
Right.
they're actually saying this to the guy. And he was like, and then out of nowhere, you just caught his neck with like 10 seconds left in the fight. Like it wasn't even
kick or
I was
punch.
just dominating. Choke.
Oh, choke. I'm sorry, gotcha.
Yeah, he ended up catching my neck.
Gotcha.
I went for a takedown, had my neck in the wrong spot, and that's how quickly it ends.
Yep.
But then I learned, at that time I'd been doing it for free for so long, and I knew I was at the end of the road. So I was like, let me just see what this pro thing has, because I don't want to ever wake up one day and be like, what if?
Yeah.
And I know God has given me a purpose and something bigger, and he doesn't keep putting me into these situations to not grow from them. And I would never want to look back and be like, what if I could have made it to the UFC?
So you had faith then.
Yeah, well, I knew there was a bigger purpose for me. Even when I was a kid,
Yep.
I knew I was meant for more than to live in Arlington and in the trailer. And, I knew I was always meant for more. And so I went for it. And I learned the, first fight, the first contract you ever sign. And then it's just a business.
Yeah.
Professional is just totally different.
Zach says the same thing in baseball. It became a bit. I watched him do well and get cut.
Yeah.
And they say, we just need somebody with a little more experience. And he'd be like, how am I going to get experience if you're cutting me? And then he'd be sitting there for 3 days. They'd call him. He'd drive over to Washington, cut, after a month. And
well, then it's like for this business, about, ticket sales.
Yes.
So they want the hometown guy to win.
And you need to sell them, right?
So, and I need to sell the tickets. So then it was like, cool, but now
you think it sounds easy.
You're going to
but
go down to Miami and you're going to fight this black belt who owns a gym down there, and he's got 700 members, and I'm like, I'm not going down there to fight that guy,
right?
And they're like, well, you have a contract, and I was like, I don't care, like I'm not doing that. So I had a very short career.
Yeah.
Turns out my last fight, actually, same thing in Maine. That the Maine guy called back and was like, hey, I got a guy wants to fight at 105. You still got that one guy? And he's like, yeah, I got him. He flew me up there. So that was my last fight.
Yeah.
I came home, my gym had closed, and they asked me, like, everyone, I was still in great shape.
Right.
I was still competing at a very high level. And I told my wife, if I ever get a concussion or a really bad injury, I'm done with this, because I'm still a banker. And then we just started this business, and this was the new focus. But it just never happened. So I came home, the gym was closed. I coached for a little while, and then I was like, this is taking up too much of my time. I'd rather focus on the business. So I just walked away from the sport.
Wow.
I didn't even train.
Did you love the sport, or did you just love the competition of?
I love the competition.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Because if you could have gotten that in another sport, so it wasn't just the sport of and the art of.
No, it was the competition. I'd never, even today, people ask me, well, what's your belt ranking? Gold.
Right.
I never got even a single stripe on a jiu-jitsu belt. I've only wore a gi twice in my life. I don't care about the gi. I don't care about the pay for play. Like, thing is, you can't pay for a gold belt.
Right.
You can't pay for a championship in a single person sport. I mean, you live or die, and
Clink.
you're going out on your shield.
Yeah.
You know, so that aspect I loved.
Yeah.
The adrenaline, that to me, the dopamine.
So how
like,
did
it
you
was a
replace
drug.
that? Because I mean,
Business.
okay, so you leave. So now we become
Now I
business
became,
focused.
now I become entrepreneur.
Well, I mean, you're already there. You're
So
driving.
I ended up quitting my job.
Right.
So I walk into corporate America after 19 years. It was like a 3-day holiday. I came back and I sat my boss down.
Did you just wake up one day and know?
And I was like, that was it.
Or was it coming? Did you
Well,
feel
I knew
it
was
coming?
coming.
Yeah.
And everyone would tell me, you just got to take that leap of faith.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I got 4 kids,
I know.
married, insurance,
Yeah.
like all the stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I'm 40 years old. What if it doesn't work? And then, but I just knew in my heart there was no plan B.
Yeah.
I knew if I went for it and I was putting all that on the line, I was going to be successful.
Yeah.
I didn't know how.
Yeah.
So I just walked in one day and I told my boss, I was like, hey, this is it for me. He's like, dude, everybody just loves your story. They love that you're going after the American dream. That's so cool. Just when you get back to your desk, send me a 2-week notice and I'll accept it. And I was just like, no, like I'm walking out right now.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, don't do it. Like, only thing I
Keep
knew,
the door open.
Yeah, you've got 19 years experience. You're not going to be able to use this on your resume. And I remember to this day, the thing that I told him that I will echo it for the rest of my life is I told him that, where I'm going, I'm not going to need a resume.
Ooh.
And I just
Keep talking. I just like stuff like
that's self-belief right there. That's self-belief that there's
that
no
needs to be
plan
on a
B.
t-shirt, sir.
So I just went for it. And so that business grew very quickly. And then we started, doing all the gym things.
Yeah.
And the low-hanging fruit was going after
You say
the
it so
fifth.
casually. So that business grew very quickly. Not all business grow very quickly.
Well-
So how, obviously you got a driven young lady who we have the ability to set 3 on here. So
Yeah.
next time
100%.
we'll have all
You should
3.
tell
I'll
her
have it
story,
set
yeah.
up. All 3 of us on here. I should have known y'all like me. Y'all travel together.
For sure.
So and because I know she is a major part of the engine, but not just the engine. There's a leader in there.
Yeah.
I mean, she a boss.
She's
I dealt with her on
developed-
the roofing.
Yeah.
Once I saw you, then she's a boss.
No sales experience.
Yeah.
Nurse by trade, been doing that 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Doesn't know anything about sales, never worked at corporate America outside of that nursing aspect. But the person that she has become into as a leader for businesses, savage.
And women.
Savage. And
Come on.
she's checked me so many times that there comes, I taught her
We
sales.
need that.
And I would just give her little tips and like,
Yeah.
hey, next time try this. Next time this is the cue, and
Yeah.
use their words against their pain
Yep.
points. You turn that around, use that
Yep.
against them. So she got really good at that. And then
Find
it was
their
like,
currency.
It was like pricing because she lose a deal, and I was like,
Yeah.
man, if you would have priced it like this.
Yeah.
And then it was like she would tell me, just shut up. Let me handle this. You
Yep.
go do what you do. Let me handle this.
Yep.
And then it was just like, all right, and then now I don't even, it's every now and then I'll send, hey, did you get the message? She's like, hey, I
Yep.
got it.
Yep.
Like, leave it alone. I handle, and she runs all the businesses.
Delegation. I always
Yeah.
tell people, because I ran a lot of, the furniture stores. We had 40 some odd stores in a lot of states. And I was telling them, man, if it's only what these 2 hands can do, I can't grow.
You can't.
I have to
No.
train people. Now, they're never going to speak exactly my voice. Now, my wife will, because,
yeah.
I mean, y'all, that's a whole nother level. Owners, I don't care who you hire. I don't care how kind they are, how good, how much they care about you. They will never give a damn the way you will about your business.
100%.
And you can.
And you can't expect to have that in an employee.
Exactly.
And it's
So
kinda
I shoot for 80%.
80%. That's what my business coach said.
Come on.
80% done by someone else is 100%
This freaks
great.
me out. Okay, so listen, I these have all been in my head. I don't read these books, and it's just funny how we all meet.
Yeah.
It's not like, yeah, I'm smart. It's just that it validates, because I didn't come from corporate. This was just stuff I built when I was training people in sales and human dynamics, and on the street, learning how to read the shoulders taught me how to read the twitch. I had to know when that guy was coming, when he turned his elbow. I wasn't
Yeah.
never got in a ring, but it taught me so much. And so that was just, if I could get 80% out of somebody, that's what did you say?
It's 100%.
Yeah, I never said it that nicely.
Right.
I just need 80%.
Well, and she reminds me sometimes when I come in and I see things and I'm like, man, she's like 80%. I'm like,
Okay,
"You're
so
right."
watch this. When I interviewed somebody, and they go, "I'm gonna give you 110%," I go, "You can't do it.
Yeah.
It's impossible." I said, "What did your wife get?" And I would just start breaking down. I would literally break them down to about 45%. They're like, I'm like, so you want me to pay you that for 45%?
Yeah, right.
And then I would bring them back to reality. Listen, I'd get them back to the 80-20.
It's that reverse engineer.
Reverse
You
engineer.
you can't give 110% unless you. I mean,
Yeah, it can't, it's impossible.
and you're certainly not going to give it to any job.
No, absolutely.
going to,
And
until-
you have multiple jobs, and
Yeah.
we're going to get into some of the other stuff as far as you like. But I mean, you're carrying a lot of weight.
Yeah.
You have a partner that helps, but it's still,
Yeah.
you know, we don't want them leaning on. We want to be that, you know, and it's ingrained in us to help, and to let go and trust is very difficult coming from where you came from.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing for me. And obviously that was ingrained in the sports because I don't rely on someone else.
Yep.
I don't rely on another player. I don't rely. I mean, obviously you're trained,
Sure.
and you have a team and you have a coach.
But when it clinks,
When that clinks,
yeah.
all that is just you got to trust your training, and you are in there, and it's live or die. It's
it's weird?
Greatest thing to being. It's the closest thing to being a gladiator today that exists, because I mean, you're locked in there. It's your best skills versus my best skills, and they're not going to stop this until someone is either tap, snap, or takes a nap.
Tap, snap, take a nap.
That's it. So that's
like
the only
that.
way we're escaping this.
You're right.
This cage.
You're right.
So when you've been through that, and you've been through so that's why adversity, I thrive in it, man.
Yeah.
I thrive in it.
Because for me, it's and I'm going through some heavy stuff. For me, I get excited even in the pain.
Yeah.
It sucks right now, but I know in the long term, I'm gonna be a little more swole.
Yeah.
I'm being stretched for some
You
reason.
are. Yeah, and I'm going through it as well.
And I don't want to go through that voodoo. Yeah, you are. I mean, so you get out of that. Lean impact begins to take off.
Yes.
But you're not done. Now you get this other idea. Where does this come from?
So Lean Impact was doing really well, and everything's digital, right?
Right.
100% of our business is done online. We don't have a storefront. We don't have a walk-in. You cannot walk in and try. You can't. So it's a private facility, and then we do free home delivery throughout all Duval, St. John's, and Clay County, right? So everything's
early
done
on, my kids have done some deliveries.
Yeah,
used
to
use the high school kids on Sundays.
Anybody I could get.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll pay you in cash, Starbucks, whatever you want. Yeah, so we everything was done digital. So I kind of self-taught myself.
Yeah.
From running Facebook ads that I learned from watching Gary V.
Yep.
On YouTube and
I
stuff.
love
like that.
Gary V.
Yeah, I love him. I mean, all my whole Facebook platform and knowledge base came from him.
That makes
originally.
sense now.
So everything was run through Facebook, digital marketing, advertising.
He's willing to
branding.
give you the truth,
and you can learn anything on YouTube. So
the master classes, there's no excuse.
So I knew I could grow a business too online. So then about, I guess COVID was 2020, 5 years ago. Everybody there's the mad dash for, pools.
Yes.
Because everyone's stuck in their house. Like, do
now, do y'all have a pool?
We have a pool now.
Okay.
So the first year of COVID, we were like, everybody's getting a pool. We can't.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
We live in a neighborhood that has 3 pools. We can't go to the pool. This sucks.
Right.
So I was like, let's get a pool. So they came out, gave us a price for the pool, and they're like, how serious are you? We're so backed up. And we're like, we're dead serious. And they came out, they gave us a bill for like $47,000. And we're like, get out of my property. No way I'm paying $47,000 for a pool. So we went a whole year without a pool. The next year it comes around again, and I was like, man, let's start pricing out those pools again.
59?
No, 89.
What?
Yeah, 1 year it went from 47 to 89,000, and we were like, we'll take it. Because next year's gonna be 160.
Yeah.
And I see the the ramping up of all the pools. I see and it was 9 months from contract to dig date, and then it was the time for it to build. So it took like a year and a half.
I've
to build
never
a pool.
heard a good story.
Yeah, it's
from a pool bit.
It's awful,
yeah.
but everyone was getting them in the neighborhood, and then so they do the pool school.
Right.
They give you all the chemicals, they give you the vacuum, and they cut you loose.
Right.
So I'm on YouTube again. 'Cause that's the only way I know how to learn. I don't
Right.
got a college education. I got YouTube. So I go to YouTube and I'm like, how do you clean pool?
Right.
What do you do chemicals? So I started going to Pinch a Penny. I
Right.
started taking all the water
Getting the
samples.
one bag.
I'm like, dude, this is so pain in the ass to do all this. Because then I come back and it's still messed up, and I got to go back there and do all this thing. And I told my wife, I was like, man, with all these pools they're building everywhere, no one's going to want to clean their pool. This is the laziest America we've ever lived in our entire lives. Like, so I think there's going to be a demand for this. I think I want to open a pool business. She's like, do whatever you want. So I was like, cool. So I know if I want to be good at something, I
Got
got
to get with those that are good.
I got to put in the reps.
Yeah.
And it's the rule of 100.
Yep.
So I was like, cool, let me start trying to find a job. Denied. I probably got denied by like 6
Why
different pools.
do you think that was?
Well, because I'm a 47-year-old man who's owned a restaurant for the last 8 years.
I agree. Like my
Why-
resume, who would hire me at 54?
I'm unhireable.
I'm
you know?
unhireable
Yeah,
almost.
I mean, as an entrepreneur, for one, I'm unhireable, and two,
Is that not
why would
crazy?
you want to come do this? The guys make 6 figures a year. He's got a restaurant. Why would he want to come clean pools?
Right.
Even my neighbors are like, dude, what are
So
you thinking?
they
You're
sort of
so-
knew what you were
they kinda-
wanting.
either or they just didn't think
Yeah.
that I was serious.
Yeah.
But I had one guy take a chance on me over in Mandarin on San Jose,
Yeah.
and they had like 500 pools, and even he was like, "Why are you here?" I was like, "Listen, dude, I'm going to tell you straight up. I got a restaurant, successful restaurant. I make good money, but I don't do anything from Monday to Friday because my business is on Saturday and Sunday. I
Right.
literally Instacart Monday and Friday because I'm so sick of sitting at home. I need something to do." And I like to be outside. I like to exercise. This is physically demanding. Bro, I'm just cleaning pools. Like, this
Right.
is super easy compared to running a restaurant. He's like, cool, you're hired. So I went from trainee to top guy. I was running at 100 pools, about 118. So I would get off at like 1 or 2. I would change shirts. I had a trailer. I wrapped the whole trailer in my pool company, and then I would go start building my pools on the side. So I was getting my training, on-the-job training. I would learn there. And then I would go and start knocking on doors in my neighborhood. Hey, I got a pool company. I live in the neighborhood. If you're ever interested, my name's
Right.
Zach. I own a pool
Throw
company.
that over your shoulder, and it won't touch you. It won't
Oh.
bug you anymore. Watch that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so then I did that for about 9 months.
And so you just slowly built
Slowly started
yours.
building up, and I don't remember the exact number. Maybe I had 12 or 13 pools at the time. And I told my wife, I was like, I just got to go for it. Because I know myself, if I'm spending X amount of hours cleaning their pools,
Right.
I could be spending that focusing
Earning
on the business.
and earning
Yeah.
more clients.
So that's what I did. I cut loose after about 9 months.
Kick
Then
the grind in, and
threw
you
it-
just
threw it
Yeah.
out on Facebook.
Yep.
You know, then I started running Facebook ads for the pool business because I was thinking,
because that's a word of mouth business as well.
So exactly, it's a word of mouth business and it's very old school,
Yeah.
right? So I know a couple guys that have pool businesses, so I immediately reach out to them like, hey man, what kind of software are you using for your weekly services? Like, I don't do software. I just do the handwritten door tags. I was like, what about your website? What kind of traffic are you getting? I don't have a website. I'm like, so you just been word of mouth? He's like, yeah, word of mouth. And then,
You
like
saw a
networking.
niche.
And I was
You
just
saw
like,
a gap.
I was like, dude, if these guys are doing this good on word of mouth and door tags, when I come in running Facebook ads, so that's all we did. We ran Facebook ads from day one, videos. I'd never gone to a networking
Right.
event and we didn't have a name. I focused on my Google SEO through my GMB pages.
Right.
I focused on Google ads for paid advertising.
Right.
And I focused on
Do you do
Facebook
geo
ads.
traffic?
Geo traffic.
Yeah, I love it.
Yep. So then once
Facebook, I really love my ads.
so once I find a neighborhood that I already have pools in, I drop a pinpoint there. I run a 3-mile radius, and then I run all my Facebook ads and just target those people with free quotes. Because again, people are lazy. They don't
Yes.
want to set an appointment for a pool guy to come out here to give me a quote to look at my pool. I'll give you a quote within 5 minutes. If you click on this, message me now. I'll ask you 3 basic questions. I'm going to give you a quote. I'm either going to beat the price or you're going to know
Saves
have
you
a good
time.
price.
You're on to the
Saves-
next.
Yeah, I'm on to the
What's
next.
the name of your pool company, just in case?
So it's Elite Pool Service Jacks.
Lease Pool Service Jacks.
And we service all of Clay
And I'll
County.
put links on all this.
We service Clay County, St. John's, and Duval County.
Yeah. I mean, I have people in China that watch too, so he's
Oh,
not coming out
not
to
coming
the-
to China.
Not coming to China.
Not coming to China.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the 904. So
Yeah.
started off with my one trailer.
Yeah.
Because
I was going to ask so are you franchising, licensing?
So we've thought about doing the license model.
Okay.
And licensing
Would
the
you?
name.
Yes.
And then so we instead of having
You still
Elite
can
Pool
get
Service-
royalties.
Oh, of course.
It's just a way
100%.
to get around the Mama knows.
Well, it's-
we built corporate. Would you? We weren't. I say franchise. It was a licensing model.
Right. Well, it's cheaper to get in than the franchise.
Way.
And then you can have.
But you can still get royalties.
You get royalties
and the
then,
legalities.
you already have the logos. You already have the advertising. We already know the logistics. So we would just teach you to. So I never bought.
Well,
any
I want
pool
to talk.
Yeah, I never bought any pool routes. I built everything organic from the ground through social media and organic traffic. We never bought any routes Now,
Because
you
I
can
love
sort-
pools.
You love pools?
I love pools.
Yeah.
I love cleaning pools. My mom was emphatic about pools, and I
Yeah.
just got. We downsized supposedly, and I love it over there. I didn't realize how busy Lakeshore Drive West had gotten and how
Yeah.
loud it was. Now I'm in Orange Park, So I gave up the big acreage, but I have about the same size house.
Yeah.
So I have neighbor. I'm learning. Y'all have had neighbors. I didn't have a neighbor.
Yeah, sure you do.
So I ran into the back of one of their cars because I didn't know how to back out of neighborhoods, and
because there's cars in the street.
yeah, and I'm like, and I'm looking at him. I go, why did you park your car?
Yeah.
Oh, it's right in front of his house.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
but I have a pool now. And so I've obviously, I walked in and it was green. Well, my mama she would just walk around while we were swimming and pour bleach all the way around it. Like,
You
yeah.
don't know different.
And then no, I'm not kidding. And then hand us a
Scrubby.
Chlorine punk?
No, the chlorine punk. We just sit there
scrub
and
the
scrub
walls.
black algae off the
Yeah.
floor. While you're, I mean, it's just my eyes are to this day are damaged.
100%.
Visine doesn't even work.
Yeah.
No kidding.
It's kind of like my nostrils. Like people are like, oh,
Yeah.
that's chlorine. I'm like,
That-
what chlorine? I was smelling chlorine.
Yeah, because I mean, people
Yeah.
are like, "This is well." I love it. Like, oh, it's like
Yeah.
home. It's like
Yeah.
stripper for furniture. It's home.
It's
So-
definitely.
So have you gotten into training yet in that field or in this industry?
What do you mean training?
Like a licensee? Have you had any
no.
yet?
So
Okay, I'll
we've
probably
already
be
been,
your first.
Yeah, we've already been offered. Someone tried to come and buy the business, which we turned down.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Yeah,
hold on
hold.
to it. We're gonna hold. We're up
2,
to.
3.
We got 3 trucks now.
we got a little
You know,
pop.
we're only in our 26 months, so it's just a little over 2 years.
Chick-fil-A business model may be interesting where they're owner operators.
Owner operators. Yeah.
And that way you would get a guy like me who doesn't have liquid capital but has that drive grind.
Right.
And then y'all are making a good line share of it, and you own the equipment, and so you have control of.
Yeah, well, that's kind of
Interesting.
what we would want, but just in different cities. So you'd have elite pool service,
Yep.
Orlando, elite pool service, West Palm Beach,
Yep.
and everything just runs up.
Do you think it'll get where like one holds the whole city, or like then he does his own, he grows his market?
Yeah, I mean, I would.
Because one truck can't do.
One
how many
truck,
how many
so-
pools can you do in a day? And
so
I'm
it
talking about
depends.
you.
Me physically?
Yeah, I mean, I know
Uh,
you could fly when you're healthy and
yeah,
it good.
I mean, I've
you
done.
you've eaten protein in the morning.
Yeah.
Mama's looking good. She smooched on. I told you how sexy you are. You're just in a good mood.
I've done 28 pools in a day.
Whew.
Yeah. In
How
the
many
48
hours?
That's a full
Yeah, you're
12-hour
grind-
day. You're
yeah,
grinding all day
you're
long in
grinding.
the heat. We
That's
like
a
to keep our
lot.
techs around 12 to 16 pools a day.
Yeah.
And then one pole guy, so one guy in the truck, one pole. You're looking at probably 70 to 80 pools max before the quality starts dropping down.
Yeah.
I'm obviously, like you said before, 80%. Like if I'm doing the pools, I know it's going to be 100% quality,
Yep.
even though I'm doing 100 to 120.
You know the granulars are totally gonna be dissolved, and there's gonna be
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah, for sure.
Because yeah. So have you seen the new pole that has the blue fan, so you can one arm it instead of having to hold the pole with 2 hands to keep it up against the wall? It goes down as you go up, and as you come down, it comes out, and so it keeps it up against the wall, so it's less energy on your guys.
That's interesting. I'll take a look at
Yeah,
that.
I just saw it the other day on Facebook.
Wow.
Trust me, we've talked about it. It'll come up on your phones.
Yeah.
They're all watching, but it came up on Facebook, and I said that is a phenomenal idea because I sit there and I'm out in the scrub and
Yep.
everything. So there's a lot of automation going on,
Yeah.
and this is interesting. AI is going on with Geo. I mean,
Yeah.
I can go to Chat GPT and it writes my stories. I do a lot of my Facebook now, run it through and go, wow, that's written so much
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. You have to.
Yeah, so it's coming in every business.
Mm-hmm.
Automated pool cleaning, $7.99, and they think they clean it the way you do. So are you finding there's more sales today in this industry?
Yeah. I definitely think there's.
Like your strengths versus their weaknesses, kind of a setup. Where you're
You talking
comparing.
about comparing to like an
Like
AI
an
thing?
automated. Why wouldn't I just go get an automated cleaner and then drop the once a
Yeah,
week?
I certainly think that the automation is going to get better with the testing of the chemicals and being able to tell you exactly, because most people it's kind of guess.
Yep. I do.
Yeah, I mean you get a range.
Yeah.
You get a range.
And I
you
did.
just
I will tell you, I've done it long enough that I can tell.
Yeah, same.
If my skin starts really itching, I'm like,
Yeah.
well, that's too much chlorine.
Yeah, and you
But
get used to the same pools.
You do.
because they all have their own life.
Yeah, and I have a small pool, so it's really easy
Yeah,
to keep
so
clean.
you understand. But as far as on the cleaning aspect, the brushing and the vacuuming, yeah, of course, there's probably a robot that could go in there and brush it, just like there's probably a robot that can go in and grill all the chicken.
So
and
let me
grill all
ask
the
you
pork
something,
for us.
because you're a thinker. So I'm waiting for a pool company that has the robots that comes by and drops them off, and then comes and picks them up. And it's now they're not going to do everything, but they can do or while you're cleaning something else, you drop it off, 3 of them off, and then you go back and you go, now you drop that next one off, and all of a sudden automated where you're eliminating another. You're not trying to eliminate people, but it's coming.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, if you can get it for $8.99 and it can do 4,000 pulls before it falls apart, and you do the math, I'm like, so because I Facebook stalk y'all because you're like a hero of mine. I mean, y'all are grinders I'm a 4 o'clock in the morning getter upper.
Yep.
I do a lot of stretching and I don't do the weightlifting.
Yep.
I have pulled and then I had bursitis and my son Zach, I keep telling him y'all to link up because he does a lot of that. He just tore his
labrum.
Pectoral
he tore his
muscle.
labrum in high school. He tore his tendon off his arm, and then he wasn't going to get the surgery, and it had rolled up, and he went to go ride a bike one day and had no control, and so because it wasn't his pitching arm, so he just had the surgery, and he's really good about self-care and eating and health, and he's really helped all of us on meal planning and meal prepping and what to eat, the healthy stuff, and now he also is sponsored by a meat company that is grass-fed, the highest dollar, and so they send him meat free every week. He does something right. And I mean, that's like $400. I can't. Can other than meal prepping, can a family eat? $100,000 a year, 2.5 kids. Can they go in the grocery store anymore and get healthy stuff? I mean, they're talking about gluing steak together nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think you can
more
eat,
from a local butcher or still from Publix and Wendy's.
You don't need to go that far. You don't need to eat organic. You don't need to have grass-fed, grass-finished, all that stuff. You just need to start somewhere, be consistent, have balance. The biggest thing is the consistency. Because most people want everything done right
because then you keep. I call them the other day. We were talking on the podcast, micro wins.
Yeah,
I was 305 pounds. You saw me. We'd be at the football games. Remember, and I always had there'd be Zach, and I always had a hot dog. And yes, he remembers, and he would say something to me.
Yeah, I'm like, how's the hot
dog?
You think you need another one?
And at that time, it was good.
Yeah,
until it wasn't. Until all of a sudden, I didn't know what rhabdomyolysis was, and I was climbing roofs. And we had lost everything. Y'all didn't know that at the time. And I got into roofing, was scared of heights. And I mean, God just opened doors. I got rhabdomyolysis, went in the hospital for 3 days, didn't get on a roof for a week. He told me to stay 4. They were basically I thought. And I got up to meet an adjuster at like 5:30. So it was about 80 degrees. And I went right back into it. And from that moment, I said, I had enough tubes in me. I said, something has to change. And so I could have. I chose not to because I was lazy. I wasn't going to change all my food diet. So I started with intermittent. I didn't know it's called intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
But I just quit eating. Yeah. And so I did a calorie deficiency, and I took weight off. And then over the years I've gotten into it, I've begun tweaking. Now I use black pepper instead of salt, and I've adjusted.
Intermittent fasting is good for people who want an easy way.
Yes.
To lose weight without having to track calories.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not a big breakfast person. I mean, because you just skip that one meal, you're talking 3, 5. So
that's what Dave finally figured out.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you lose 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories.
Right.
So if you cut 500 calories per day, 7 days a week, that's going to be 1 pound of fat a week. So if you just cut out breakfast, which is 500 calories, that's the easiest way to get in a deficit and lose 1 pound a week.
Well, I've seen what you've done with Tim Marlowe.
Yeah,
so
I mean, he's down 50.
Yeah, shout out to Tim. He doesn't watch this, but now he will.
He will, because I already told him I was going to be on here.
Awesome.
We were actually supposed to work out this morning.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting a stomach bug.
Yeah, he was my oldest brother's best friend in high school, and so I watched him go through the financial field, and that world is stressful. And
how crazy! So you want?
And then that gorgeous girl he has, daughter, that stress you out in and of itself.
That was the guy that I sat down and told that line to where I'm going. I don't need a resume. It was Tim Marlowe.
No shit.
I shit you not. It was Tim Marlowe.
That's
my last boss in corporate America.
Tim was?
Tim Marlowe, yes.
Holy crap.
Yeah, man. For real.
Sure.
This is how crazy life is.
Yep.
So then I decided I wanted to get into online fitness coaching and nutrition because I've been doing this so long. Fitness advocate and nutrition and
that's what Zach's
certified nutrition coach. And so I was like, dude, let me just do this online because I want to be location free.
Yep.
I want to be able to work the rest of my life and go see my kids in their different cities and be able to still work and have an income and not be tied to a certain area.
That's where my brain is.
So this was a good avenue, and it's something that I love to do. So my very first client, Tim Marlowe.
Tim Marlowe.
What are the chances? You know, and that was 8 years ago. No, I left Deutsche Bank. Ashley.
Yeah. How long?
When did I leave Deutsche Bank?
8. So that would have been
No, I started-
2017,
No,
2018,
well, I started leaving at 9 months, 2018.
2018.
2018, because I started the business when he was still my boss, and that was the guy that was like, "Man, we're just that's so
Right.
You're going after the American dream," and I was like, "Oh, I'm going after the American dream right now." That was Tim Marlowe, man.
That is awesome.
That's crazy,
Great
right?
guy.
Yeah, super
Great guy. And,
Um,
and just, I mean, so obviously following your system, because now you have what is it? People, process, products.
Right.
And, you know, if you get those 3 together, and I mean, you have a process, you've done it your whole life, and now it's just second nature to you. You
Yeah.
can spit it without even
Now I'm
knowing.
thinking about it. I can do your macros.
Right.
I can do, like, it's just
Zach
it's-
does, but he's
it's
just like,
easy.
once you've lived it long enough.
Yeah. It becomes that
Yeah.
lifestyle that they all talk about, and it's not a diet anymore.
Is your goal to train people and them to leave you, or it's more
Yeah.
of a lifetime journey with y'all?
No.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to give you all the knowledge for you to become the greatest version of yourself,
Right.
and you spread those wings.
Because you
and
got
go.
more to help.
Yeah, because there's more people behind you.
Yeah.
know?
This country. How do we trust it? I mean, why do people trust the FDA? They think they're out there to help us, and the
Because
food.
you only know what you've been taught.
If you go overseas,
Yeah, I know. But I mean, same thing with the news. Same thing with
you're right.
education
I don't
system.
even watch the news.
I mean, look at the education system, the stuff they're teaching your kids right now. Like, you
Yep.
only know what you've been taught. And
Yep.
if you're taught that, and we've been bred into this society, if you see it on TV,
Yep.
if you see it on Facebook, it's real.
Yep.
So people are only
And now with AI involved and all this, it
yeah,
is.
you can change
Yeah.
images. You can make
Yep.
somebody. You know, we were.
I
reading
call
something-
it drilling down. I mean, I will catch. I when I say I don't watch the news, I don't like the Fox, and I
Yeah.
don't care which way you slant. Don't whatever. Politics and religion, Irish. But where I like to drill down and find my own message, and I like to hear it from his mouth. Let me go watch that
Yeah.
guy and what he said, and let me go watch what they said, and let me go
100%.
try to read this a little bit. And it takes a little more time,
It
but
takes more time, but it's self education, and then you can come
make
to
an educated decision
on your
to the
own.
best of my ability.
Yeah,
and it
I'm not
still may
gonna-
be wrong.
It's just like when people make that post, they're like, you know, do you like this restaurant? You got
Right.
just try the restaurant and
Right.
decide for yourself. You know, you don't because there's different
Listen.
people. People have different likings and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, we're just
So, what is your vision? I mean, so Lean Impact, is it staying? Are you growing it? Are you planning? So this grows, and the pool business grows,
So
and the online coaching.
so I took a step in between the online coaching. We opened another business.
Okay.
I used to have a catering
You
business.
thought I was a serial entrepreneur.
You know,
I used,
kidding.
I used to have a catering
Well, what
business.
it is let me say this real quick before you
Yeah.
get it. What it is, it's multiple streams of income.
Yeah. Well, it's opportunity.
It's opportunity.
Once you become an
gotta
entrepreneur and you have a blueprint, you understand how things
Yeah.
work, then it just becomes opportunity,
Yeah.
because as opportunities come, you see them
Yeah.
now. Where before, when you're
Yeah, but
you have
you're
this-
financially sound too.
yeah, well, I'm self-taught
There-
financially sound.
Yeah, there was times in my life I was not,
Yeah.
as I was making good
Well,
money.
Yeah, exactly. Same here.
And
When
so-
Lean Impact blew up, it blew up really quickly.
Yeah.
And that was more money than I ever made
Yeah.
in corporate America.
Oh, I've
And
made
I
some
was
good
just
money.
like, she'll tell you.
Yeah.
It was 2:00 or it was like 12:00 on a Tuesday. I'm drinking margaritas in the pool.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got Monday through
Oh, that was
Friday
me.
off, and I was like, I was part-time retired.
Yep.
And
I
that's
was
why
too
so
at
bored.
33.
Yeah, I was so bored. That's why I was like, dude, let me go Instacart and just do something.
That's what I didn't do. See,
yeah.
that's the diversion again. That's
It was
why I get on.
diversion.
It's this thing's for because at 33 I was semi-retired. You know, I mean, I had businesses, but I had it down to a pat.
Yeah.
And so when we got it, well, actually about 2010, man, I was leaving the store at 2:30, and I was hanging out at the bar until,
Yeah.
and I didn't see it. It was as gradual that
Yep.
as it was
Same.
me getting healthy.
Same.
Didn't
same.
even see it coming.
And that's kind of that was our path with alcoholism.
Yep.
Because I was training MMA. I would wake up in the morning.
Yep.
I would go to work for 8 hours. I would train. She would train with me for an hour kickboxing from
Yep.
6 to 7, and then from 7 to 9 I would train MMA, and I did that 5 days a week, 6 days a week for
Yep.
7 years. So then I got home at 5:00. Once I retired, stopped doing it. I was like, shit, what do we do now?
Relax.
And I was like, well, let's just kick back and you want to have a drink?
Yeah.
We don't have anything to do tonight. We don't got to go exercise.
Yeah.
I've already exercised today, so let's have a drink. And the next day we're like, you want to have a drink?
That was nice. It was
Yeah,
relaxing.
just have another relax. And then the weekends came, and everybody drinks on the weekends.
Yeah.
So it's just like then we would drink then. And then it
Oh,
was like,
I remember mine was like Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, Friday, Saturday because I didn't do Sunday because I got Monday.
Yeah.
And then finally Sundays because that's football, man. So we do the early Sundays, and then all of a sudden Thursdays rolled in for well Wednesday, shit, and then Tuesday. Man, I had every day. I hated holidays because nobody was there to drink with me. I hated when the holidays came.
Yeah.
Hated it. I would hang out with him Christmas Eve because he was my bartender. That's how I found him. That's how
I
we
get a
met.
call and he'd be like, "What's open today?"
Yeah.
I would literally go because I didn't drink at the house because I enjoyed. I still didn't feel a part of, so I needed to be around the noise, and it just made me feel like no one was watching me and I could just be a part of. And
Is that because you don't think you were comfortable in your own skin at the time?
oh yeah, I'm still not. I low self-esteem. I mean, I worked through it. You know, I mean, I like buying a building. I've probably approached it 15 times before I
enough.
Yeah. And I'm gonna fail.
Yeah.
It's gonna fail.
That's
So
why.
I still walk today in everything that it's gonna fail. They're gonna laugh at me. And today I finally have the power to power through it. I'm just a few years behind you. I'm coming.
Yeah.
I'm going through it now, still with that mindset.
Yeah.
I'm getting on TikTok live now.
Yeah.
Come throw me some flowers. I want to see a diving well. Dude, some of these people make money. I'm not on it to make money.
Right.
I'm on it for the uncomfortable. I chase the uncomfortable.
That's how you grow. 100%.
That's how you grow.
Yeah.
And I've always been in the uncomfortable, but I ran from it.
Yeah.
And then when I got sober, I had men that taught me, hey, Bubba, here's what we do. We turn around and we run to it because you get through it faster.
Yeah,
what all the winners were already doing. What some people found in church, I heard the message. I know the Bible verses.
Yeah.
It just didn't resonate for whatever reason.
You couldn't walk that terror barrier.
I had to feel my fire. I had to be tied to my pole and get burnt.
Yeah.
Now my scars aren't shown the way yours are, but there's a sixth sense in this world. And when you've been through things the way you have and I have, and I mean, Dave's been through tragedy, I can get by people. I'm not saying clairvoyant, like you walk around touching people and you know it. But there's certain people you get around and you're like, that guy's hurting, this girl's hurting, you know. And so I enjoy the ministry of today. And I think for me, I'm very uncomfortable chasing the growing businesses because I don't know if I'll pass the financial success against, because I didn't. When I started making big money, I got it, Lord.
Yeah.
I got it. And today, I think what would save me is the men I have around me because they don't care. There's one man that's expecting me to call. I didn't call the other day, and he knows I'm sitting down with you, and when I'm done, I'm supposed to call him. And I will because
Take a break real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep. Let me tell you, and we'll wrap this up here in a little bit because he is a definite. This guy is. Well, there's so much more depth to that, and y'all haven't even met his beautiful bride. It's not just looks. This woman snatches weights like he does at 4:00 in the morning. They're at the gym. They're maniacs.
I'm rolling over and figuring out how to fall back asleep.
But see, there's so many more episodes because there's the time management episode because y'all don't know it, but she's back there on her computer when she had to go, babe, because she's not just la and she's at work grinding, and the social side and the ability to have mobility. Like I open buildings, and that's why I'm trying to get to be a building owner and less of a furniture store owner. So I'm a building guy, and I can go away and they can just pay me the rents. And but that's what this is about: books and speaking and laugh, please, because today I know my worth. And I'll make sure Zach hears that because I don't walk around like, oh, I have no value. I absolutely am confident in the things that I have done through focused repetition, where I've learned the mistakes, and then I grow through that. But to go through the physical traumas at such a young age, forged something in him that few have. And if you go look at all the greats, not all. Michael Jordan. I mean, it's silly. Everybody knows the story. Got cut at 10th grade, got cut. My son, my oldest, bam. He was 8 years old. All the boys were out on Doctor's Lake and, swinging on the rope. And he was trying to pull himself up. And his little chubby self couldn't pull himself up on the dock. And they had to help him. They were all laughing. And he was 8th grade. And it was that moment he started going to gyms on his own.
I remember that.
I was dropping him off, and he got with older people that were in it, and they saw his grind in him, and he started losing weight, and all of a sudden he swole up and got stronger than everybody, and to this day is just, a specimen. He's like you. I mean, but you don't, y'all. This is just a lifestyle. This isn't a I want to look sexy. I mean, you look sexy, by the way. I got a bromance on you. So, but
I think, yeah. I mean, now it's just.
I mean,
who
you don't work out to like cut a body muscle necessarily. It's
not anymore. Now, honestly, the gym's become therapy, and I mean, we'll just go ahead and start another story. And the reason why I have to keep cutting, we found out in November I was diagnosed with prostate cancer.
Okay, let's get to this because I want to make sure we get to this, and we're going to come back. So let's take about 15, 20 minutes. I want to talk about your cancer.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So I've always been active. I drink a lot of water. I work outside. I drink 1 to 2 gallons of water. I've done
Eat healthy,
and I've been cutting weight. So that cutting weight, you drink a lot of water, you dehydrate the body, you then cut the water. So it's I've always had an overactive bladder, and I pee a lot. All my family knows that. It's no big deal. And then I've had the same doctor that I've had my entire fight career, who did all my blood work, did all this stuff, and I kept getting elevated PSAs on my blood panels that came back. And he was like, it's probably due to your high protein, it's due to your lifestyle. We'll check it again in 12 months. Cool, whatever. And I move on. But even after I stopped fighting, I would always get this blood work done because I've been doing it for so many years. And I want to, kind of keep a gauge on where everything is and where it's working.
And what do they check? They check all your proteins.
All your proteins.
Is that what Gary Brecka's always talking about? That's the blood work?
Yeah. But this specifically is your PSA, which which is your prostate markers.
Okay. Which is big in guys. I mean,
which is big as you get old, So then he ended up leaving the practice, a very prominent hospital. This is not some fly-by-night company by any means or practice. So then he leaves. He goes to Miami, and I'm like, I got to find a new doctor. And I waited a while, ended up getting a new doctor. First thing they did is they ordered a blood panel. Came back, elevated PSA. They're like, do you know about this? I'm like, yeah, I've had elevated PSAs for years. My doctor, and she's like, what did your doctor do about it? I was like, nothing. He just told me we check in. She was like, what did you any type of testing, MRI, nothing. She's like, well, I'm going to give you a test for an MRI, and we'll go from there. Then the imaging company calls me like, hey, have you talked to your doctor? And I'm like, not yet. Why? What's up? And they're like, you need to call your doctor. And I knew right then
something's wrong.
This is bad.
Yeah.
So I told my wife. She's like, no, it's going to be fine. Everything's going to be good. And I was like, no, I bet you I got cancer. And then talked to my doctor, and sure enough, had prostate cancer, which is a slow growing cancer. So who knows how long I've had it, because I've had elevated PSA for so many years. And then we've had.
How do you treat it? I mean, obviously there's many ways.
Yeah.
Holistic. How do you decide how to?
Well, I mean, obviously everybody has opinion on that, and I get
this is your life.
Yeah.
You're telling your story.
I get tons of Facebook, medical experts these days who, one, have no medical history, or two, ever dealt with prostate cancer. But
thank you for saying it that way.
They want to tell me what I should do with my cancer. I get them all the time in my message. So if you're hearing this, stop messaging me because I don't read them. I care about what my doctors say. They're the ones,
And you do your educated research.
I do my educated research, which is that right there.
Right.
Who's been a nurse for almost 20 years, and she did, and we had two options. You would either do the surgery to remove it. Downfalls to doing the surgery to remove it is, obviously you can't have. The radiation is you can't have any more children.
Right.
So that's like the biggest thing why people don't do radiation, because they want to still have a family. If you have the surgery, because they're cutting it out and they're removing the nerves that they then go back and tie the nerves together, there's a very high chance that you may not be able to use your unit anymore.
Impotency and all that.
So you could be taking, meds for the rest of your life to even be able to use that unit. Now, most guys go for the surgery route because they're in the 70s and 80s.
Right.
And who cares at that point about your unit? Because of my age. And
I do. But anyways, we'll talk about it when I'm 70.
But if you catch it early enough, prostate cancer is very curable. The thing is, as I keep telling these doctors, yes, they have a 98% survival rate if caught early for 10 years.
By how long?
The problem is these people have this survival rate because they're dying of something else.
Right.
All the research that is done is on 70 and 80-year-old people. So that's why I told my doctor, I said, how many people with my cancer at my age have lived 40 to 50 years? And they're like, I can't answer that. There's no data. So obviously
So you're taking it serious.
that's a gut punch.
No
you know, 'cause
doubt.
You're just like, so I'm no longer focused on 10 years or,
Yeah.
you know, I'm trying to beat this forever.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things you got to start changing about your life.
Yeah, and it's not some. There is no clink, and you're looking at him across the ring.
Yeah.
It's in you.
It's in, yeah.
And you can't punch it.
Yeah.
And you can't choke it out. And I mean, this is a different battle.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I thought I was very healthy and I thought I was doing, you know, had this.
Well, you
lifestyle.
are.
Well, I am. But, you know, that's what people are like, oh, I can't believe you
Right.
out of all people. Like,
You hate hearing that.
No one is
Right.
immune to cancer.
Right.
But that's why now I'm kind of that advocate. If you see my post, it's like, go get checked. Quit being a
Yep.
bitch. You
Yep.
know, oh, you're scared of needles? Really?
Yep.
Every day that I go into 5 days a week, I go into radiation treatment. Every single day, I have a BioProtect balloon, which is a balloon that they insert into my rectum, and they inflate a balloon to separate my colon from my prostate because they have found over time that radiation to the colon during trying to get rid of the prostate cancer has actually given cancer to the colon.
Yeah.
So people have come out of prostate cancer and then got colon cancer. So the way to eliminate that is to do this BioProtect balloon. I've had that done 27 times now. You're scared of a needle? Trust me, the alternative is way worse.
And how long is your cycle of the radiation?
So I was supposed to do a 5-week
Right.
radiation treatment. I was going to have a month off, and then I was going to have what they call radioactive seeds, which are these tiny seeds that they implant into the prostate that give a slow release of radiation over the next 6 months. In doing that, it creates a lot of irritation and inflammation in the prostate. So
There'll always be something, a side effect to.
boy. So the side effect is that you could have like what feels like a urinary tract infection for like 6 months. And it could be so severe that they could have to cath you, and you could wear a catheter for 3 months
Cool.
and not be able to pee for yourself.
He knows it. We just got one pulled out.
So
Welcome to our world, people.
Yeah,
Welcome to
so
the grind.
this is
So
real.
go get your blood checked
Go get your blood checked.
because the quicker you catch it,
Yeah, the
the
quicker you
less you have
catch
to
it.
make these kind of
So
decisions.
so I had the decision to
I got blood work coming up. Guess what I'm getting on there?
better
I'm
check that.
gonna make sure that my PSA's on there.
100%.
Yeah.
You know, get
But I had a UTI, which was odd for guys.
yes.
And mine came back twice, and so they started looking, and they're going to put the powder in me or something, and,
Yeah.
and double check all that.
Yeah.
But-
So I decided not to do the surgery route just because of the additional risk associated with that.
yeah.
So I went second round of radiation. So I did my 5-week treatment, and now I'm gonna do another 5 weeks of
And
radiation.
how do they know it's out? I mean, is it an image or is it blood work?
It's blood work,
It
and
starts
they,
at
yeah, the PSA level. They wanted
the
to go to
PSA
0.
level goes
Yeah.
down.
So you want your PSA to be at 0, and now it's very, very imperative that I track my PSA for the rest of my life. And then if
Probably
it's
not a bad idea for any man,
not
huh?
a bad day for anyone, but just don't wait. You know,
Because you're a granddad now.
I'm a
But you're
granddad,
young and healthy.
you know, but the thing is, that's why it's called the silent killer. It's the
Yeah.
number 2 killing cancer in all of men because men have too much ego to go to the doctor.
Yep. Or talk
because-
about feelings and any of that.
or they're scared of needles.
Yeah.
And that's why the people who have died from prostate cancer, it's spread into their bones, it's metastasized, and once you find it at that point, there's no
Yes.
coming back from it. And that's why it's the number 2 killer of men of cancer, because sometimes you don't have symptoms.
I was
If
going to
I
say,
didn't-
because there's no swelling or
there's
no.
no symptoms, there's no pain, there's no irritation. Maybe you pee a lot. And that was the thing with me.
Interesting.
I didn't have, they didn't affect my life at all. I had no idea that I had cancer growing inside of me until the blood work came back, or actually the MRI came back and showed the multiple lesions.
How often does it come back once they. No
Yeah.
data.
So there's no data.
no
and
data.
Just like when I decided to go for the additional round of radiation versus the seeds, the doctor, we had already ordered the seeds. And the doctor was like, well, I'll hold on to the seeds for you. So if this comes back in 10 to 20 years, we can do the seeds implant at that time. I'm like, no, doc, I don't want this to come back.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to. That's why I'm doing 10 weeks of
Yep.
radiation. That's why I quit alcohol. That's why
Yep.
I'm working out twice a day. That's
Yep.
why I've cleaned up my diet. Like I'm doing everything possible
To give your
live,
body the
well,
chance to
live,
fight.
man.
Right.
I'm not. When you get that phone call,
Yeah.
it's a gut punch.
Well, life becomes really simple.
Yeah,
Doesn't
and
it? I mean, it's about survival. It's now about all of a sudden, all this, all that, what I drove. I've said this often because I've made a lot of money and I've lost some.
Yeah,
And I've been on the brink of losing and buying buildings and pushing myself past my financials to get to the next level.
Right.
And I've rode that wave. And I through experience, it's really neat to stand calm in the storm
yeah,
and to know that regardless of what comes, there's a solution. I may not always like every bit of it,
yeah.
but I know,
There's something on the other side.
yeah, because mentality,
Yeah.
in disease is
Yeah.
is huge.
Well, and when you die, and I think about death a lot, not in a morbid
No,
sense.
I get it
I
100%.
think about death a lot because when that day comes and you're surrounded by all your friends and family
Yep.
and they're saying goodbye to you in your last minute, no
Yep.
one's going to give a shit about the car
Nope.
that you drove.
Nope.
They're not going to give a shit about your fantasy football winnings
Nope.
or all they're going to remember is the human being and whether or not you made an impact in those people's lives
Yep.
now that your life is gone. And so obviously, it's like tell people all the time, you can have 100 problems, so you have a health problem. Then you only have one problem.
Ooh, man.
That's your only focus,
That's when I had rhabdomyolysis, was just nowhere near that level. I
Yeah.
didn't even know what it was. Zach explained to me it's what weightlifters deal with and everything. If you don't know what it is, Google it.
Yeah.
I'll put a link. There's too much here. I'm not going to get into all that. But there was no other problem. Paying the bills next month didn't even cross
Right.
my mind.
Right.
I mean, I was having to quit roofing, and I was like,
Right.
I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does it matter if I'm making money and I'm dead?
Yeah. Same like with our businesses. We hire a guy. He's a no call, no show. Don't move on to the next.
Yep.
It's not that big of a deal.
No.
If you want a big life, you want a really big life, go get more problems.
There it is.
The bigger problems that you can solve for people, the bigger your life is going to be.
Mm.
When you have small problems, you got these really small life, you know,
Yeah.
because I made this post and somebody was like, oh man, I really needed that today. My landlord just died and I got to get a new apartment. Really, dude?
Mm-hmm.
I get radiated every single day. I'm battling cancer. I run
28
multiple
times a
business.
balloon up my
Yeah.
ass.
And
While
we're
my
not
wife's
done
trying-
yet. I still got 22 more to go. And
No flowers or nothing
you
sent
gotta-
to you or
no,
anything.
You got to go get a new apartment.
Is there ever
bro.
a call the next day? Hey, I was thinking about you. Nothing.
Nothing.
They just put the balloon up and walk away.
Every Monday morning, I get a doctor. She checks in on my rectum.
Okay, that helps. Okay,
He's like-
that would make me feel a little better.
That's the first
mean,
question is, do you have rectum bleeding? I'm good so far.
Okay, good. I would be hurt if they didn't call
No, but
once.
especially in there, and I tell her all the time, like, it's a very humbling experience as a man.
Understood.
Yeah, because your legs are up, and you got 2-3 females in there just shoving this probe up inside of you, and then they give you some towels to wipe yourself off when you're done, and you're just standing there, and they're just having full-on conversations and talking. You're like, I know you're here to do a job, and you did your job, but can I have a little bit of privacy? Just put my clothes back on and take care of myself real quick, and they just like you're not even there. Definitely a humbling experience. So I can assure you, getting your blood work done and
Okay, so you're fighting cancer right now. Had nothing to do with the phone sitting in between your, like when we're driving. It was all. I'm just making sure.
Yeah, no.
Hey, don't laugh at me over there.
Yeah.
I'm a redneck. I'm making sure, Nursey. Because of him, I don't ride with it underneath in between. I'm all afraid the radiation, which there is something out there to that.
of course,
But I like my boys, man. I ain't
Yeah.
afraid to say it. It's all about the grind.
Yeah.
So, positivity. I mean, without having y'all are where you are, she is, and that's a really cool thing. But it's
Yeah.
more. It's deeper than that. A rock, having
Yeah.
a rock. Hang on, just 1 second, buddy. All right. All right. Step on outside for a second, please. Yeah, we're not done yet. Yeah, it's not 11. Sorry about that.
Oh, good.
Yeah, she knew not to walk in this door till 11, so we'll be talking. So, anyways, because I want people to understand what's going on right here, and what that is called is those moments are not by accident, and I'm always curious about the people that are involved in those moments.
Yeah.
I start watching them, so because we're all led by something. And
100%.
yeah, so I should have locked the door. That was on me. Anyways, when you get to the end of the radiation, you really don't know if it's gone. Would that be accurate?
Yeah.
I mean,
all we can do is track the PSA from.
how do you not live in fear? Because it comes. It's got to come in waves.
There was a lot of fear in the beginning when you
Because there's a cycle of what you go through: anger, fear, why me,
100%.
pissed off at God.
Yep.
You know, Matt Blythe told me something, and we're going to come back real soon. You guys have got to come back, and we'll have your beautiful bride on here as well, because there's so much you're going to be able to help people with. When you get to that moment where you just don't have that and that, I mean, you know, we all get there. It's not pulling each other bootstraps. Is it her? Is it God? Or is it just, you don't even know? It's just that stand up. How do you just stand? Next foot, next step. Because that's a lot. You got a lot of businesses, and business can go up and down, and that's a lot of people that depend on you. And you know, and they're successful, but they can dip too. And so you're at that birth point.
And I have a responsibility to be every day at 2:20, regardless of what's happening in my life. Good day or bad day, I have to go.
And we're not even talking about what it does to you physically.
Yeah,
we haven't even gotten into that about the physical side.
But it's very interesting that you say that, because I've been away from God in and out of my whole life.
Yeah.
You know, we got kicked out of the church, like I said before, and then I went and then I got away from it, and then this happened, and then it starts making you think. It's like, damn, like what if this is it? Like you start thinking about your life. You want to be your legacy. What do you want to be remembered for? Did you make an impact? Did you change people's lives? So once I started thinking about that, I started thinking about my why God moment was, you know, what are you trying to show me, God? You gave me this for a purpose. You've already been through the chapter of.
Did you ask it pissed off, or did you ask it?
Man,
Good.
You've already gone through the burns.
Yeah.
I've already gone through almost suicide.
What the hell else do you want me to?
Like it's like, how much more can one human being take? Like
enough.
My whole life has been through adversity, and now I'm to the point that I'm finally got out this stuff, just doing well. And he was like, I'm not done showing you yet. Which brings to your point, like I truly believe this. I truly believe that I have not even grown into the person I'm supposed to be yet.
I haven't either.
And everything that I've done up into my life, if you look at the chapters from me getting burned, met her, from me going into the MMA gym, I wasn't never supposed to be the UFC fighter. I was supposed to be the lean impact guy, and that's how I serve people. And then once I learned how to grow a company and expand from the internet, that taught me how to do the pool so I can serve those people. Now that I stopped my catering business, my other business, I opened up my kitchen now, is a full turnkey commercial kitchen that we help people come in who aspire to be the next food entrepreneurs in Jacksonville. We show them how to start their business. We help them through the process of DBPR. They get licensed. They can use our entire facility, just like here, as running their business, just like you've done with this commercial building, is you've opened up aspiring people their opportunities to be there, that, you know, to create their own freedom for themselves. And that's what we do with the Collective Kitchen. But then the cancer came, and it was like, man, what are you trying to show me here? Every time I became a different version of myself, but then also you've shown me something else that I'm supposed to do. Yeah. And I believe the cancer now is because I'm supposed to slow down. And my biggest thing is always what's next? What's next? What's next? And I never really put my life out on social media because everybody looks at my life and they want be sympathy. You know, even with the cancer, like, oh my God, what can I do?
And you're not looking for that.
Dude, that's not what I'm supposed to tell the story.
Learn.
And she will tell you. On the way here, I said, this is my first podcast of many.
Of many.
Because I'm going to put my story out on here.
Yep.
Someone else is going to hear it.
Yep.
And they're going to get inspired that I know I went through some shit, but did you hear what this guy's life was like?
Yep.
Did you see what he went through? And he never gave up. I don't know why I don't give up. You know, I don't know why I keep going through and enduring and pushing through every single time that God knocks me down, I get back up. And the reason is because I'm supposed to share these stories with the world.
Yep.
And she will tell you, I'm not afraid to die.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of dying one day, and these stories don't get out that possibly could have helped somebody.
Which brings me to my next business. I've started a business called Our Legacy Speaks. and it's a 2 to 3 hour sit down of this telling your life story. A little bit of this, but it goes into more detail. And
That's interesting.
It's $175 unedited, and then $350 will edit it and everything. And I'm gonna start doing it here, and it can be duplicated by many.
Yeah.
But as you get further in this, this isn't for them right now.
Yeah.
As you get further in this equipment's for free to use. You can come in here. You and her can come in and sit, and we'll show you what all this can do, and y'all will do it better than us. But I mean, there's a lot of simple stuff you can do with this camera, and it's top-notch equipment. When you watch this, it'll be really good, and we can change the background and everything, and promoting businesses. Or if we just want to do infomercials, that's another thing I can do in here is start companies paying me to sit down $200, sit down and do an infomercial with you, unedited. I do a little bit of research, and then I do this, and you see what comes out of this.
100%.
It's sort of my niche. And I'm heading to books and speaking, and it's not for money and fame. I will take the money, but I'm searching for the next Brett. Because Brett, man, he was a wounded dude, man.
Same
and
with me.
Kids thought he was good, and he wasn't, and and then he grew into a man, and they thought he had it together, and he didn't. But he held it together, and it was self-will until it.
That's your way of serving people.
Yeah.
Is serving people through that story. And that's the same with me. Like I'm not after it for the money.
Yep.
But of course the money will come, because the thing is,
it always does. Our God wants to bless. And this is not financial blessings.
No. This is about,
I'm not talking about that. I just flagged off on top.
God intends you for you to serve.
He did. Yes.
And that's the whole thing.
Servitude.
Yeah.
My son tore his arm. Now here he is moving to the Texas Tailgaters from the Party Animals, and he's a vet now, and he's going to shine, and he tears, and he calls me. Now he pushes me. We're about to close here in just a minute, but he calls me and he says he was having a Bible study on his own. And he says, I know what I'm supposed to do this year. I was like, what, son? He goes, I'm here to serve. Yeah. And here's this vet who sits there in soft pitches while his arm was in a sling. You would get so excited watching him. His arm's in a sling, and he is heavy working out, using arm. He does all neat workouts like you. He's that beast but like he works out without shoes because he wants the natural balance. He's never used a weight because he didn't want to weaken his back, and so now he benches and he does all these. Everybody in the gym will come up to him because he does all these odd. I bought him the big 100-pound thing I couldn't even pick up. I went to go slide it out of the way one day because I was like, "Dad, you can't." The big old sandbag you can't pick up.
Yeah.
And so he gets guys like you to lay down. He gets down and he tries to get up with you, and he pushes his body and muscles in different ways. And he has pushed me to grow. You guys motivate me. Y'all's company, you're meant for something bigger. I see round tables. I see this thing. I see you and me. Because I'm going to try to jump on this bandwagon. I see you and me, and that's what I'm really good at doing. I see you and me and Al Emmerich. Can you imagine me, him, and Al?
Yeah.
Al Emmerich and a couple a doctor, her. Let's get some female and sit around and really talk life and all the differences, my alcoholism, where I took it, being an idiot. It's not, for me, it's reaching out to the next, gets me out of myself. Because there are so many hurting people. And Sydney will tell you, every day she used to leave, I go, hey, Sydney, be a difference maker. There's somebody out there, because she didn't know this. She doesn't watch this, so it's okay. Yep. She didn't know this, but I was talking about that Brett or that Zach, that we were the kids out there. She was the cool kid. Come find that Brett. Yeah. Let him feel okay.
And that's why social media is so amazing, even though, sometimes it gets a bad rap.
It can get ugly.
You also you never have the ability to reach as many people.
This is fascinating. Is this not?
It's
this is a gold rush.
And the amount of people that reach out to us, that you're like, man, I didn't even know you follow me or follow what I'm doing, and it's just like, and then I'm inspired by people that inspire me, and I'm inspired to inspire other people. Yeah, because
it's your new drug.
It is.
Okay, here's the key, and we're going to end with this for this one, and then we're going to come back, if you will, please.
Yeah, for sure.
With Mama, I can call her Mama because I know her. You can't. You see them arms? He'd choke you out. Anyways, I got sidetracked now. Who knows? So that's it. I'm done. That's it. Welcome to
That's
the
a wrap.
grind.
That's
Hey,
it.
hey, listen, we appreciate you. Share this, like it. There will be part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, because this man has a lot of wisdom. He may actually just be sitting here talking to y'all on his own channel real soon as well. Thank you so much. Tell your friends about us. Share this. If you are a man, go get your blood work,
100%.
sissy.
Yeah.
See y'all soon.
PSA. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I learned to stay strong. Concrete in the dirt I was raised on. Know how to
That
put in work.
was
Running
awesome.
all day, you know it's game on. My skin is thick, yeah, it's tough. Running, yeah, we stay alive.
They're still on.
Ain't
They're still
gotta look
doing this.
nowhere else.
See y'all.